Good evening and welcome to the January 13th, 2026 meeting of the Town Council. I'll call the meeting to order and ask that we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I would ask that we take a brief moment of silence to reflect on the events going on, both near and abroad. Thank you. In accordance with Mass General Law, this meeting is being recorded by LCAT. If there's anyone else in the audience recording, if you could identify yourself. Seeing none. Oh.
I'm just trying to, I've never taken minutes before, so I'm
sure.
doing a little minute after.
That's perfect.
Please. So I do a nice job.
Yes, thank you. Next is public comments. Is there anyone in the public that wishes to make a comment this evening? Okay, I don't see anyone in person or on Zoom. Council comments. The only comment that I have this evening is to welcome our new clerk, Jackie. And then, of course, our new assistant clerk taking our minutes this evening to replace Jackie's old seat, Cindy.
Okay, all right. Yeah.
That was my comment this evening. Does anyone else on the council have a comment? Okay, seeing none. Town manager's report. Hi, Tom.
Hello. Good evening, all. I got a brief one for you tonight. I know we got a big agenda, so Happy New Year. It's a little late in the month to keep saying it, but since we haven't seen each other, I'll say it one last time. As usual, attached to the report are the reports for construction for the high school and natatorium for the month of December. I mean, the school progress is really starting to get down to the fine details. There's tile and paint and all these other finishes being installed. It's really exciting, and the natatorium also has seen some real progress and it's basically completely enclosed at this point. Still progressing on time and on budget. And just a reminder, you can get scheduling and progress information on the website, eastlawmeadowma.gov/ELHS building project. Congratulations to Carrie Ann Wenzel on her promotion to Director of Assessing. Carrie Ann was Diane's assistant assessor for the past 3 years and has over 20 years of municipal assessing experience. Very excited for Carrie Ann and everything she's going to bring to that department. So congrats to her. Congrats to Jackie. Very excited that she gets to sit next to me now. I'm sure she is too.
Yes.
And congrats to Cindy as well. I'm very happy that you're here. Planning for upcoming FY27 budgets, obviously well underway. We'll get to more of that in a little while. Department heads are crunching their numbers and will submit level 1 budgets at the end of this week. As in past years, the directive was a level service submittal. We still have a lot to talk about, but we'll move to that level 2 in advance of our draft budget submittal on April 1st. Obviously, there's still a lot of moving parts, but we'll get to that, I'm sure, in a little while. Also attached to this report is the FY25 audit performed by Scanlon and Associates. There's a lot of information in there. That's why we brought Kim, amongst other reasons and other agenda items.
Her expression.
No surprises, nothing to be alarmed about. As usual, our finances are in perfect order, thanks to the finance department and the council, as I've said before. I mean, we can have all the policies and our best practices, and if we don't follow them, we're not going to get the results we get. So appreciate everybody staying on task. I also I haven't done it in a while, but I was very happy to send you all an email at 4:30 this evening with our draft application for the EPA Brownsfields was posted to the website per the application process in advance of our public hearing next Tuesday at the planning board, which will be here at 6 p.m. We are, as part of that application, we're looking for a lot of attendance from a lot of our stakeholders. We're reaching out to our boards and commissions, our community groups, to sort of come up and show support for this application, which is very rigorous, very comprehensive, and very, very competitive. So anything we can do as a community to sort of show our support, it will go a long way for the process. Again, we'll get to some more of that in a little while. And then we're bringing back our special guest segment this evening. It's my pleasure to introduce our new Council on Aging Director, Emily Constantino. Come on up and say hi, yay. Yeah, a lot of applause tonight. Energy in here tonight.
It must be the building we're in.
It is the building.
All right, nice to meet all of you. Thank you for having me here tonight. I was very happy to hear that we do these in this building because I love being here. So I just started at the COA on December 1st. I'm still very brand new. You would not believe how many new people I've met in the past month and how many new names I've been trying to remember. But my past month here it's been really excellent. I'm not from East Longmeadow. I live in Connecticut. I'm from Connecticut. So I'm still learning. I've been spending the last month listening and learning and seeing how all the moving parts of the COA work together, learning from our wonderful staff, learning from my predecessor, Aaron, who was the director before me. Before I came to work here, I worked in Connecticut. I am a social worker by trade. I got my master's from University of St. Joseph in West Hartford. My experience as a social worker is working for both the private sector and for a municipality. My entry into the field of social work was working in police social work in the city of Willimantic in Eastern Connecticut. Starting as a student, we created sort of a statewide model for police social work in Connecticut that is now used by many different schools and many different police departments in the state. So it was a wonderful job. I did crisis intervention. I did a lot of collaboration with other town entities, health department, our town senior center. And I really enjoyed working for a town. I really enjoyed having the support of a community around me. After I was a police social worker, I worked in hospice as a hospice social worker, which is where I got my introduction to working with the older population. All of my patients had terminal illnesses, and a lot of them had memory deficits. And so I served as an advocate and as a support system to those patients and their families. In that role, I saw what can happen when our older population does not have social support, does not have the proper resources to thrive, and they have unmet needs, which is what sort of led me to this position at the COA. We have a very resource-rich center here. We have transportation services. We have a nutrition program. We have fitness programs. We have mental wellness programs, and we have a ton of recreational programs as well. We help facilitate the SWAT program here in town, which is wonderful. And we have an amazing staff, an amazing system of volunteers who work here. So it's been a month of listening and learning, and I feel a lot of gratitude that I'm here. This is a wonderful place. I feel very happy that I'm starting kind of at the beginning of the year, so I get to see how the year progresses and how every different month brings different activities and different programs to the COA. We have this month specifically, we have a concert series that's been happening every Friday here. So feel free to stop by this Friday at 12:45. We have some local artists who have been coming in, doing a concert for us, and it's honestly been so fun. I don't know many other people who have a concert at their work every Friday, but it's been wonderful. Our staff here and our volunteers are extremely dedicated to making sure that our older people in our community do not feel alone, they feel supported, and they feel like all their needs are being met. and they have a community around them. So I'm very happy to be here. This seems like a wonderful town. I've been very welcomed very warmly, and I hope to be here for a very long time. So thank you all for your support. Lots of really good things happening at the COA. January is a bit of a slower month, so I hear. We have our concert series. We try to kind of keep it a quieter month because the holidays were a little bit crazy for everyone. But when the spring comes around, we have lots of picnics happening, and lots of other fun activities. So everyone is always welcome. So please come by at any chance you can. Thank you.
That's great. Thank you.
Thank you for the introduction.
Welcome.
That's it for me tonight, unless you have any questions about anything or.
Ralph?
Oh, boy.
Missed me, didn't you?
The worst way.
Just a couple questions with regards to Scanlon and Associates.
Okay.
Do we have a multiple year contract with them? Is it like a 3-year contract, or is it
We do,
each year we hire them to do it?
yeah, I think we just entered into 3.
Third year of this contract, and we spoke with them again about another 3-year contract.
Because I know in the past, we've talked about possibly bringing in someone else and taking a look at it, only because the same company's been doing it for 25 years or
I
more.
remember.
And the suggestion was always occasionally to get another fresh set of eyes on it, so that it doesn't become just ho-hum. Hey, we're always looking at the same thing, and they never dig any deeper. And again, I'm not involved in that aspect of it. I just know this is what we've talked about.
Okay.
And like I said, I don't even know if I don't know how many companies out there do this. There's probably 2.
There was more. Last year, one of them bought everybody up. So there is actually only 2. No.
We can definitely go out there and try and get some quotes. I know that we had a really hard time getting quotes. Westcon was trying to get quotes.
Yeah.
It's just hard to get anybody to actually communicate with you.
Yeah.
But we could. We're finding that they're a lot higher in costs. We're finding that even Scanlon is, they would like to increase their costs by quite a bit. We can negotiate with them a little bit. So, but I can go out there and.
Like I said, I just think sometimes it's just a good idea, just
Yeah.
occasionally. And I'm not saying, hey, you're just looking for a better price. I'm saying just to get a different set of eyes sometimes on it. Maybe they'll see something that Scanlon's missed. Maybe there's just nothing to see. And
Just when you thought the punch list was done. Okay.
just a suggestion.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other comments or questions? Okay, seeing none, we will move to communications, correspondence, and announcements. The only one that I have this evening was the assessment certification of value for the Dwight Road, Maple Street District. So each year, our Director of Assessing has to prepare this, mostly just as a notice to us. We don't, as a council, have to take any action, but it does have to be part of the budget process. So for fiscal year 2026, with the assessment date of January 1st, 2025, the land location of 305 C Maple Street, parcel ID 6-9-A, with a land area of 5.37 acres, a land value of $1,080,100, a building value of $3,075,000, for a total value of $4,155,100. And this is because 305 Maple Street is included in the DIF district but is tax exempt. And that was certified by our, soon-to-be former Director of Assessing, Diane Bishop. So that was just more of an informational thing that she had sent us. I don't have any other communications unless anyone else does. Okay, seeing none, public hearings, we have none. Orders of the day, licensing matters. This is more just a kickstart for the licensing committee.
Yes, the short answer there is the comparison of area fees is underway. At my request, Jackie reached out to clerks in our immediate surrounding towns and a few others with similar populations to us. And so far, 2 have gotten back to us. I'm hoping that once the information comes back, if it comes back in the next week or so, then I can have it ready for the next agenda, if not definitely for February's agenda.
Great, perfect. Sounds good. And if it even takes a little longer, we can,
It's just a matter of, once it all comes back to Jackie, then I'll aggregate the data and put it in a spreadsheet for everyone.
perfect. Thank you, Kathy.
You're welcome.
Okay, next under financial matters, our first topic is the joint meeting with the town council and school committee per the charter, Article 6, Section 1, annual budget process.
Come on. Good evening. Everybody, come on up. Step right up. Hey, Pam.
Hi, how are you? Long time no see.
I know, huh?
Yesterday? This morning.
Saw you on the internet
That's
this morning.
true, yes. Sure. Those are terrible. I know.
Yeah.
I know, they always.
They're hard.
Yeah.
It's for us to get. Fine. Travel as a team.
If you need a moment to open the meeting.
I will. Thank you, President O'Shea. First of all, happy finance season. It started tonight. It is every year. It happens annually. Would like to open the meeting of the school committee at 6:15. Call the meeting to order. With me tonight, Greg Thompson, chairman of the school committee, Pam Blair, our assistant superintendent for business, Heather Brown, our assistant superintendent for curriculum instruction and assessment, Carrie Jarzapski, Antonella Rochilla Manzi, William Struther, and our superintendent, as you all know, of 16 years. This is our last budget season together, and so I would like to recognize his years of service, Superintendent Gordon Smith.
Like that, but thank you.
That's it. That's the whole party for you.
Recognize my years of service. Higher percentages.
And if I could just acknowledge President O'Shea, Councilor Richards and her years of service, as I understand, this is her last year with us all, so I just want to recognize the many years we got to work together. So thank you, Marilyn, for all your time and effort and energy. With that, we are open, so thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you to you all for being here this evening. It's always a fun start to the budget process this time of year. But at this point, I'll turn it over to Tom to give us the town overview of
Sure.
financial state.
Thank you. At the risk of sort of sounding like a broken record, I think we've had some conversations already that this year looks very similar to last year in terms of where we stand with the budget, in particular the operating budget. You know, when we have a very large increase in health insurance again, we haven't nailed down that number yet, but early conversations at Scannick are upwards of 15%, which is a killer, but we've sort of been conservatively budgeting that line item to sort of prepare for such an increase. Retirement's up almost 9%. And we have some other costs that are going to be in the budget this year that weren't last year, i.e. Over $100,000 policy for insurance for the new high school. You know, in addition to our whatever increases we have on the rest of our assets. And a rather large increase to the electric bill at the new high school, considering it's a fully electric building. We're hoping, and we have to see how the timeline works, but obviously the building is set for PV, solar. So we're hoping that's going to offset some of that increase, as well as some rebates from the grid, which is pretty substantial, 1.3. I think the timeline of which is substantial completion, which won't be till July 26th, July of 26, which is the first payment of $1 million, and then the rest after the project's completed. I think we're sort of in that space where when we add our 2.5%, where if we don't want to cut into our levy, which was our sort of goal last year to sort of save that as much of that cushion as we could and not tax the community all the way to the levy limit, we're going to be left with somewhere around $1.5 million to spread across the whole operation, which again was a difficult task to complete last year. We're in January, and I think we said it last year, we're still estimating all these numbers. We don't have anything sort of concrete yet, but, we're gonna, it seems like this year, and unless something major changes at the state level and funding levels change, that with our increase in some of the bigger ones, the health insurance and the retirement, we're gonna be living around 2.5–3% increase in operation at max across the board, with those other increases factored in. Again, we won't know what the full impact of the level service budget looks like, but again, we've had some internal conversations already. Gordon and Pam and Kim and I met back in October or September to sort of go over the fact that, it kind of is looking like the same scenario that we had last year, where we just have to be really efficient with how we spend that increase in money this year. That's the long and the short of it. We did get a little bit of good news from Diane right before she left. That was nice of her. We had a little bit more growth last year to the tune of $250,000, and then an additional amended growth from FY '24. What FY are we in? The one before this one. Of another $250,000. So when we started last year's budget, we were at 1.6 for excess levy. We're now at 1.9. And when we did the budget last year, we planned on cutting into some of that excess levy and putting it down at 1.3. So we're back to 1.9, which is pretty incredible. And again, so there's a little bit of maneuverability there. And again, we had this sort of conversation about the excess levy last year about, not taxing the community to the full limit, and sort of keeping that money in there as sort of a buffer for any sort of unknown budgeting snafus that could arise. But again, still really early. I think there's a lot of things that can move. I think there's a lot of options that we're talking about in terms of how this budget is built and how some things can move. But I think some of our unknowns right now are those additional operating costs with the new building. We've asked Skanska and the design team to sort of give us an idea of what those added costs are going to look like so that we can properly budget for them. I think Ben Murphy from Skanska said last time that most of their projects, people are finding out these operational costs a year later or 2 years later. So it seems like they have a lot of knowledge about what are those things that people are forgetting. So we're trying to get that comprehensive list together so that we don't miss anything. And again, we really need to keep our services at the level we're at. We offer a lot of services that a lot of communities don't, and a lot of great service. And that's school, and that's DPW and police and fire and COA and all of it. And so we really need to find a way to, again, be efficient, but this whole new growth conversation that was a nice surprise is a goal that we should continue to have to allow our community to grow in a way that also helps our budget grow. So that's about it. I don't know if anybody has any other questions about where we stand. Like I said, there's a lot of movement between now and April 1 and beyond. And a lot of those questions will get answered along the way. But again, sort of status quo from the conversation we had when we were here last year.
Okay. Is there anything?
Yeah, certainly we want to acknowledge our working relationship with the town manager is going fantastic on our part, working collaboratively on the new school, which is, as you all have seen, is moving along fantastically. It is on time and it is beautiful. It will be an asset to this community, and we're hopeful that folks will get in and get a chance to take a look at it. We're also hopeful to work with the recreation department and get that pool accessible to the community as soon as it's up and online, because the school only uses it so much. So we will have designated parking and it will be locked off from the school. So we're hoping to use that pool, as we said we would, as a community-based program for the whole town. We are also underway on those 2 additional classrooms out at Mountain View School. Those are framed and starting to get closed in. We're hoping to get those online by the end of the school year, or at least by next school year. So that project will finally be complete. And then we will have all the building space we are going to have for a while. We will be opening the new building, as you all know, next fall in August. It will take an additional year to knock down.
Knock on wood.
Knock down the right side of the building. So the day we open, from the auditorium left will be knocked down, and that will be all the new pavement and new driveway area. But it'll take an additional year to knock from the right side over and finish off all the fields on that. So that'll be FY 2027. Hard to say that. But again, going great. Just a recap on last year. As you're all aware, we are 20 full-time positions down from last year to this year. Last year in the FY25 budget, we had funded 474.6 positions. Last year, the FY26, or this year I should say, FY26 budget, we were at 454.6 positions. So we have held that, the decrease in 20 FTEs as we discussed on the last round. We did use $350,000 from the school choice account, as we discussed, so that is down less than we've taken in a year. So we won't have that much again to use next year, but there is a balance in that, and we're hopeful that we can supplement part of the operating budget again with that, because we do have that opportunity and it is a source of income for us. As Tom mentioned, the photovoltaics we're hoping to offset substantially the increase in electrical. The estimates now are $250,000 increase in electricity, which is a lot. I think that may be conservative, but we won't know until the first year, so we'll have a good year to run through it. The architects and the builders tell us it's going to be about an additional year before we get the solar panels online. So we'll see that increase for 1 year, then we'll realize the savings from the solar panels the second year. So this is like a 2-year process. So we're hopeful that we're able to work that substantial increase in the budget, but we knew that going into this, that as an electric building, it would be more expensive, even though it's much more better insulated than the prior building. Other than that, we have a lot of things going on at the schools. The kids are doing great, and the staff is certainly very useful and helpful as we move forward as a district. So that's all I have, unless anyone else has any other points. So I will throw that back to you, Connor. Thank you.
Thank you, Greg. I think from a council perspective, I think we're still evaluating some priorities as the budget process moves along, but I think we definitely have an interest in keeping things at the services that we're offering and maintaining the standards that we have as a community. In terms of like free cash, for example, I think there's a lot of opportunities there, but I mean, I know one that residents are often talking about are roads, so I think we're looking at what we might be able to do in the next year to progress on some of those objectives. But unless anyone has anything else, I think it's kind of a good start, but more to come, of course, as the numbers firm up.
Actually, through the chair.
Sure, Ralph.
Just curious on the electric, the 250,000 that we were guesstimating as an increase. Is that after the offset of the gas? Because you guys are heating by gas now, so obviously we're going to save because we're not going to be, so.
Yeah, so our current bills, electric and gas, are about $250,000. So it'll double the bill
Yeah,
per se, but we're looking to offset a quarter of the total bill,
okay.
leaving us with a quarter increase.
Trying it in.
We're hopeful, but again, I think that'll be worst case, I'm hoping.
Yeah.
Yep.
No, I thought you were.
But it includes the gas.
Electric bill was going up 250, and then I was saying, well, I'm thinking, well, maybe 90,000 of that is gas and we'll be saving, so
Yeah, no, that,
nice thought.
it's,
Yeah, it's the delta of the usage, right?
right, the 250 is existing with including gas, an additional 250 all electric. The only thing that we do have gas will be the heater for the pool. That's the only gas we have on site.
And again, this is part of that. We're waiting for confirmation from the design team that the pool was involved in that calculation also. And so, again, we'll know more, but
Estimate, of course, yeah.
we've been talking about hopefully that rebate money. Oh, there he is, sorry. That rebate money that we're getting from Grid can hopefully help offset that until the PV comes online.
I mean, we knew
Yep.
these costs were coming, so
The building's air conditioned, which is different than the existing too, so that's clearly some additional cost. Yep.
Who's in charge of the thermostat, me?
probably Ryan.
Got it. One of you remotely.
Probably Ryan.
Do it from home.
Yeah, Ryan, yeah.
Just, I'm curious, this year, I mean, do you see any hiccups coming in the next 6 months?
We're in a very different position this year than we were last year, I'm glad to say, because we had to increase many of the operating budget lines for special ed. We talked about that, contracted services. What gets very challenging is that we are down 20 positions. That's a real number. And, you know, when you have 80% of your budget, which is normal for a school department, we're not any different than any other district. They're all
Most departments.
most departments, because we're in a service industry. So, yeah, 80% is salaries. So when you have contracts that are negotiated and they're at, 3%, and if we only get a 2.5%, and then again, Unit A, I'm just going to remind you that the way that works, about 73% of our Unit A are on a top step, which means they truly get whatever the percentage is. And next year, it's actually 2.75. Did I get that right, Gordon? 2.75 next year. This year was 3%. It was a 275. But that 27% that moves down a step and then also gets the increase really is more like a 6 to 7%. It kind of depends. It fluctuates a little bit. So that has to be taken into consideration. And then all of those items, which we didn't list off, we realize we're one department within the town, and that this is a team and that we need to shave our budget as well and work together. But what I do worry about is trying to get all of those things back into the budget. We cut $80,000 in curriculum renewal. We are using $450,000 of school choice, which, just as a reminder, for many years we didn't have school choice, and the school department in 19 decided to.
2018, 2019.
Okay, to start school choice again, just a little at a time, and we look at our enrollment and make decisions about where maybe we have those slots, and it's just 5, 10, 15 slots, and it's looked at every year. So we were lucky that we had built that revenue up, that we had that. We're not going to have that same revenue for next year. So what will we have? I'm projecting, I think it's like $283,000 as the base amount, because for school choice, you get $5,000 per student. There is a special ed component on top of that. So depending, and you don't know that until at the end of the year when all the reports are done. So it will be higher, which is why I'm conservative and comfortable saying $283,000. But again, do we want to use every single penny? Because that's supposed to be also, we're trying to work on special ed programs that we've talked about and making little changes. And those changes take time and they take some money. So again, it's a balancing act, trying to get these things back into the operating budget, trying to think what else we cut. We had 2 MOUs, Memorandum of Understanding with the ELEA, East Long Meadow Education Association. One was for this current year, to stop the professional development that is written into the contract for individual staff that can go, and I believe it was $650, and that saved the district about $126,500. That's part of this whole strategy and how we didn't have to lay off 28 positions, and, we did this kind of thing. The other MOU was for our counselors in the Unit A contract. They work an additional 10 days over the Unit A. The other teachers, we cut them back to 5 days. That didn't go over so well because the workload is still there and they still got to get it done. So all these things we're going to have to, if we end up in the same place, we're going to have to revisit again on what do we have to do. I don't know if I missed anything.
Do you mind if I?
Yeah, no, the curriculum renewal, is that where we're gonna go?
Yeah.
I was just going to say, I was actually going to echo what Mr. Christensen said, that we're always, we work really well together, and also Mr. Thompson said it, we're very collaborative, and at this point, hopeful, because we know it's still a few more weeks until we get the governor's budget, and that really then starts to set some of the numbers in a little bit clearer display for all of us. And it's hard to know where Chapter 70 is going to go. The last few years, we've been looking at 1.7, or excuse me, 1.2, 1.4
percent.
And but we're always hopeful because at the end of the year, if you remember when we were going through this budget process, the Joint Ways and Means did increase the amount of Chapter 70 that East Long Meadow received. And so that was something that we had talked about with the Financial Oversight Committee.
185,100, yeah, 30 to 60.
Some of the things that are not in control of right now, either the governor, the legislature, or definitely the East Long Meadow Public Schools, are the increases in transportation. And so that doesn't get talked about probably enough. We talk about special education. We talk about out-of-district tuition. One of the things that I would like to say is some of the things that we've been doing. We've actually decreased the number of students out of district, and we've decreased the amount that we expect to spend this year on out-of-district tuition. So we're excited about that. But when you look at transportation costs, from FY24 to FY25, transportation as a whole, that's regular ed transportation and special ed transportation, went up 9.54%. Transportation between FY25 to FY26 went up 5.45%. So when you're looking at increases either from Chapter 70 or from the town, and I'm not saying that the town could have done more, we're just not keeping up. And so that's where the real creativity and collaboration, some of the things that we've talked about with Mr. Christensen last year and the start of this year, that's what's needed. Synergy.
Yeah.
I think those conversations at the state level will continue. This is a problem that's plaguing every community and every school district in the Commonwealth. And there's been a lot of advocacy from MMA. I gave you guys that paper in October. There's some noise here. They're not, it's like us trying to keep up, right, with our 4 or 5% budget increase with a Prop 2.5. I mean, you don't have to be a mathematician to figure out that that's not going to work out. And the state sort of needs to start funding these things at a more appropriate level. So we'll see where those conversations go. I'm sure we'll have another few roundtables with other communities.
We're auctioning area furniture, so it might have to be a.
Yeah. I'm going to miss your comic relief.
The only other thing I just want to mention, and maybe Ms. Brown is the best one, she's in and out of the classroom so much, is that the student has changed. And we've talked about this, right? COVID changed the students, and it still is evolving. We were just talking about that earlier today, Heather, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot more needs for students and therefore the staff and the resources to support all students. Of course, our goal is to make sure all students are getting what they need to thrive. There's also extra demands from the state that we purchase high-quality instructional materials, and so that requires a year-to-year increase in terms of what we're purchasing. So there's a lot of different things that come into place. But yeah, like you said, the needs of our kids have really increased because of the various, there's so many factors, right? And so trying to keep up with that as well to make sure that everyone's getting what they need by law, it costs money.
And just to add to that, when Mrs. Brown is discussing students and sort of a different set of needs, that's all students.
Yeah.
That's not just special education students. Students, really, even before COVID, we were recognizing that students who are currently in front of us do not learn the same way, say, students 5 years prior to COVID, 10 years prior to COVID. They learn differently. COVID certainly exacerbated that more, but we were seeing those changes in the late 20-teens, if you will. And so that requires professional development of staff, because we do, as Mrs. Blair said, have 73% of our staff on that top step, which means we have a veteran staff. And so they were trained in their training programs a few years ago. I won't say how many. So you do need to stay with consistent professional development. So when you're cutting back on that, you're also then putting ourselves into a really challenging situation. Okay, how do we get our staff the skill development that they need to continue to produce at a high level with students?
And then we have AI, which is a whole new chapter here that we're all,
How do you teach them not to rely on AI?
or how to best use the tool.
Right, yes.
There's a lot,
Better, sorry.
lot happening.
Yep.
Go ahead.
I just have a quick question. So last year, if I'm remembering correctly, which I might not be, but was the out of placement district one of the bigger ticket items that was kind of, so, and Gordon, you had said that we were able to keep more kids in district,
Right.
that instead of placing them out?
Right.
That's,
It was actually more looking at and making sure that we have plans for, in annual reviews, do all students who are out of district need to stay out of district?
okay,
We had more success there than we necessarily had success in terms of students who are presenting different needs, and we were maybe not able to handle those needs in district. It was more the reverse.
okay, oh, excellent, okay.
And I had done a little research, I look at all my funding sources, so the operating budget as well as IDEA, special ed IDEA grant, as well as special ed circuit breaker revolving account to get this information. But with FY '24 for out-of-district tuitions, it was 2.6 million. In FY '25, which was last year, it went up to $4 million. It's
I remember, yeah. I remember that.
huge, right? So this year, right now, I'm seeing if nothing were to change, which is no guarantee, just saying, 3.7 million. So there we're seeing a savings, so that's 6.9%. So, yay.
Yeah.
It's working. We're trying and making changes and we're seeing progress. So this is all good.
It's nice to see a line item go down
Right.
instead of.
But in doing that, though, it's important that we try to keep as much staff as we can, obviously. As you
Right.
can imagine, bringing more students back,
Staff
we
to
need every
keep us
staff member.
programs, yeah.
Yeah, so.
Great. Well, unless anyone has anything else, I think this is a good kickoff to the process, but
Absolutely.
once the department budgets are submitted this Friday, we'll have a better idea of where things are looking from the town perspective, and then I'm sure we'll be discussing again as the months progress.
Great.
To be continued.
Yes.
Continued.
Well, certainly, thank you for having us tonight. Just wanted to invite you all. We have interviews for our superintendents. Thursday, the two candidates will be here at 5 and 6:30 at Mountain View School, so you're all invited, or it will also be on YouTube. Jamie will put it up on the YouTube page as well. But yes, thank you for having us, and here we go.
Thank you for coming, and
If you'd like to come to the planning board next Tuesday night to support our application.
Is that the Carlin building?
Yeah,
Talking about?
yep.
Okay.
The more the merrier. I talked to some of the PTO and they'll have some representatives, but if we could have some representatives from the district also, that'd be great.
Okay. And Jackie?
Sorry to cut you off.
Nominations
you're good.
members are available when?
January 30th.
January 30th. Okay, great. Excellent, here we go again.
Ready again.
Okay, I would take a motion to close the meeting, please. Motion made by William, Second by Antonella. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. Thank you. We are adjourned.
Thank you. I will see you Thursday.
Very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
They don't slide.
I
The
know.
chairs, they don't
Yeah,
slide.
Not
We
on
need,
the
like,
road.
yeah.
We need to update that area a little bit. This is okay.
Our
Update
next
that.
permanent meeting room will have.
Yeah, yes.
Next, under financial matters, we have our quarterly financial report.
Couldn't say.
Some hood outside there.
Okay. Made us nervous.
Yeah, seriously. I couldn't see. I'm at a, weird angle here. Sorry, sir. Thank you. Did you say the quarter
I did.
finances?
Yes, in the commotion, we are to the quarterly financial report.
So, again, you have all the, reports from the second quarter. The only one that is out of line still is the overtime budget for fire. That was out of whack after the first quarter and remains out of whack. We had two of our members injured on duty, unfortunately. And though, obviously, those shifts are filled with other members, on overtime. So, which, as you can imagine, if you're working 24-hour shifts, that sort of leads to some burnout when you're grabbing extra shifts, and that just leads to more overtime. So, we're trying to work on that internally. I've had a few conversations with both the chief and the deputy, and Audra, really about how we can manage the staff over there a little bit, and what changes, if any, we need to make. It's one of those things we don't budget for when we talk about the what if scenario. So I'm hoping that comes back a little more in line. I've sort of gave Chief the directive also to not sort of spend any of his operational budget that is not absolutely necessary, so that if we have to make some sort of transfer at the end of the year to make up for that, then we'll have hopefully some extra funding for that. But and they got $1,000 from Bay Path. So. Kim did a nice little report here, and she's here. I mean, I don't know if you have any questions on that, but obviously our reserves are in great shape. No, you're all set?
I just looked at Ralph.
Oh. Again, the excess levy capacity, we got a nice sort of little surprise there with the amended growth from the prior year. Bond rating good, the audit was good. Most of our budgets are right in line where they should be. I had a nice conversation with Connor last month about, we were trying to figure out, is there a better way to sort of communicate the information in the reports? I think we've had the conversation already, like, oh, why is this budget already 99.9% spent? And I think we all know now that they've just encumbered, and the whole year has been paid for already. But maybe that's not always the case. And so is there a way to sort of highlight some of these things that may, set off a red flag or draw your attention to something? So we're going to sort of have some conversations about, what can Munis do without too much extra work on the finance team to sort of make these, I'll say, reports a little more readable, even if you forgot your glasses. So
I just realized I can increase the size of your C's.
Marvelous.
Lucky for you.
But yeah, there was quite a bit of financial information, both in the manager's report, and I asked him to come, obviously, because the school committee was here for the joint meeting, but also because there is a lot of information here, and I assumed there would be some questions that obviously she is probably more versed in answering. So if anyone has any questions, we are happy to answer them.
I would start by saying, well, first, thank you, Kim, for putting together the report. In addition to like the Munis detail printouts, it's nice to see the summary version of where everything stands. But the only question that I had reading through all of it, we have the, pull it over, the capital projects list that kind of goes back for quite some time. Do these stay like on this report even if the project has been complete, or do they drop off at some?
They will stay on it for the fiscal year that they were completed in.
Okay.
So, just because there will be expenses in the current year and they just haven't been closed out yet. So, yeah, they're gonna stay there, they won't show up next year.
And then I think you had said last budget cycle when we were talking about it that you changed the account numbers for like new projects going forward. Is it the second two digits that indicate like the year? So when it's like 3426, is that saying like that was fiscal year 26?
Yeah.
Okay. Makes sense. And then we don't need the detail now, but maybe at a future time we could kind of go through, because now that we're on 2 pages of capital projects, it would be interesting to see what the status on some of them are. Like some of them we haven't even started yet. Like the IT, I think it was either building automation.
It was building automation.
Something like that, yeah. And it's
Because to my recollection, that was the last one to fall off the list. So I just gave Mr. Quimby the authorization because they were like, no, it's still on the capital list.
Oh, okay.
So that was my fault. So he's got that underway right now.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so in terms of the capital list too, that we just recently started looking at again, because
Okay.
we do look at it kind of twice a year. And as we were looking at it, and Olga sent those amounts out to people, Ryan was like, we can remove this one, it doesn't exist. So there was just miscommunication there, so that's how we realized that one was still out there. So there probably will be some falling off of here shortly,
Okay.
that we will be able to, kick back if they don't need the rest of the funds. So we're in the process of doing that right now.
Perfect. Then you're already ahead of me.
Would that be so that's another sort of specific, you're gonna get more information from us on like a sort of a summary report than you would from a Munis, like where's the project stand, like progress wise?
Yeah, that might be nice.
Okay.
Maybe
Most of the departments, I think, like I remember when we were in DPW, we had all our lists and sort of a progress where that was an expected finish date or something like that. Is that, from a capital standpoint, would that sort of help answer some more questions? Maybe we do that.
I think that would be a good idea.
Second and fourth quarter or something.
Yeah, that would be helpful for like the next quarter, and then that would help us going into the next budget cycle to kind of see where everything stands.
Okay. All right.
And they think it's gonna be done.
We have an Excel spreadsheet version that has notes on it and everything. It's a little bit wordy, so maybe we'll
Wordy.
pare that down a little bit so it's more readable for you.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Ralph has something to
Just taking
say.
notes. Sorry.
Connor, I just had a question.
Of
for
course.
you. When you were just mentioning like 3426 is the date
Yeah.
on the capital, is that the date it started?
I think that was the fiscal year that we approved it for.
Maybe that it was
Yeah.
approved in here. So it would have been approved on the fiscal 26 capital.
Right. So we voted on it in 25 for the FY 26.
Okay.
And that's only the last few because like,
Well,
the
that's
first
what I
one
was
wasn't
saying.
done in 1952.
Yeah.
No, we're good there.
And again, without my glasses, I'm like, no, maybe I just won't say anything.
We just started doing that.
I do like that idea though, because it does help see
Yeah.
at a glance when we did something.
And that's exactly, like I said, I was looking at a few of them and I'm like, maybe I'll just put on good glasses and look again. And if not, I'll answer the questions or call them.
Yeah, or somehow we jumped ahead of ourselves with 2037, you know?
Yeah.
I do have a couple questions. Actually, the first is for Tom. As far as the departments go, how do we stand on, the number of employees? Are we missing any for like the DPW, police, fire? You know, do they have open positions that we're looking to fill? You know, we just talked about fire, obviously two are out, but do they have a full contingency?
So fire does, we just had, we were just at the firefighter graduation, so we have a new firefighter on board. Police has just filled 2 openings, one by Tim Daly's retirement and one the expected promotion of a patrolman to Dan Bruno's vacated sergeant spot. And DPW, we still don't have a plumber. And actually, Bruce was out for most of the last month or month and a half. We were just talking about that this morning about, you know, we're right now we're carrying a plumber's position and contracted services, and all we do is contracted services. So maybe this is the year that we say, it's just not likely that we're gonna fill the spot. Anybody that can do this work can get double at least somewhere else. And maybe it's time to not fund that position and or turn it into another building facilities repair person so we can maybe get more work done. Other than that, you know, aside from our, you know, musical chairs in a couple departments, you know, pretty much everybody's where they're at, and I don't see any way that we, unless we really have to for the high school or the pool, I don't see how we're adding new positions this year either.
Yeah, I wasn't looking at adding, I was just wondering if there's any vacancies.
Okay.
And,
You mean
I mean,
for the budget?
well, exactly.
Yeah.
Like the DPW, I know for the longest time, they're looking for skilled workers and stuff, and there was none out there.
Yeah. I do think that there's a couple, they've had a little bit of a, you know, somebody works for 3 weeks, and then I think there's a couple openings in the laborer spots and the plumber. Other than that, we're pretty full.
Yeah, and as you just mentioned, the only 2 were just the backfilling, like for the assessors, the administrative assistant, and then clerk-wise, the administrative clerk.
Yeah, and those positions are now posted.
Right.
And so hopefully we'll have those all.
As of this morning at 9:50.
Yeah, so, yeah.
Anything else, Ralph?
Oh, there's plenty, I just didn't want to jump in. CPC, who would like to talk about it? Heritage Park.
Yeah.
We've spent 200 and something thousand dollars so far.
Yeah.
What is 200 and something thousand gotten us to date?
So we are on the Conservation Commission agenda tomorrow night, following the, I'm gonna get it wrong, MEPA, the state regulatory
Yes,
for, yeah. Once that, any work that the conservation requires in the plans, that's it. Then the rest of that balance is going back to CPC.
So we have, if I could read it, we have X amount encumbered.
Yep.
And the encumbered, was that for
The contract with Berkshire Design.
contract with Berkshire Design?
Correct.
So we have full design engineered plans for Heritage Park?
About to be when the Conservation Commission approves them.
Okay, so once those are done and approved, is there any chance we can see what we've?
Absolutely.
200,000
Of course.
we're on?
Yep. Absolutely.
Brown Farm demo.
Yep.
I know we took down that whole section of the building and all, it's all
Yep.
gone, it's all cleaned up. Am I assuming that the last little bits are probably just need to be turned back now?
Yep.
So that project's completed. What about Chestnut Street?
So
I
that,
know we did a delineation on it.
yeah,
Was the 46,000 just for the delineation?
that was for the whole feasibility. So whatever is left, we're not spending any more money. So that contract, basically what he found out was the whole site was
Can't do
wet.
anything.
Right, so that project is done, and the rest of that contract is sort of null and void, and we'll go back. We can't do anything by way of sports fields there.
Exactly.
So there may be another opportunity for something, although the wetland creep was a lot more than I think anybody anticipated. There's not a whole lot of upland at all on that site.
Maybe a little walking trail through it for the neighbor.
Well, again, there's
It's not
certainly.
already there.
There would certainly be an opportunity for a passive recreation type of use on that site.
And I'm not sure if that property actually connects to the conservation land.
It's close. I think it goes all the way down to the easement, right? The overhead wire, the overhead power line easement.
And then I think there's a small section
I know.
that
I'm trying to,
the homeowner on Prospect Street owns. And the only reason I'm bringing it up is I'm just thinking of access into the conservation land, because occasionally you'll see people park on Summers Road to try and walk down and in,
Yeah.
or they'll go up and into the facility on Chestnut Street, the private facility, and park in their parking lot and walk through their property to get to the back. And I figure if we can't use it for fields, if it's accessible at all, maybe that's something you can do 3 little spots in the front out of gravel to let them access it.
so Rob and Alex are working on a trail map, a full town trail map. And so this is something that when we sort of get that together, maybe that's something that hooks into something that maybe already exists too. So.
Budget-wise, do you see anything else that really jumped out? I mean, I went through the numbers and nothing really.
Yeah, no, I
Snow
mean,
and ice we're gonna be a big deficit this year
Yeah.
on snow and ice. What are we, 55,000 right now or something deficit? We're gonna be up, I'm gonna be guessing 250 to 300,000. That's my guess. So we're gonna need that. I mean, but that's normal, I'm assuming, is always to have a deficit. The last 8 years has been pretty
Yeah.
amazing.
Yep.
December, we did more in December than we did the last 2 years, so.
Yeah, right. Yep. And salt's not getting cheaper.
no, and every year that gets taken care of at the end of the year with transfers. Typically, there's money in health insurance, and there will be again this year where we can, transfer funds over from there. Once we start seeing these increases that they keep promising us, Scantic Valley, they're talking about 15%, 18% increases. Like, if those do come to fruition and they stop using their reserves, like at that point, then, there's other options for snow and ice where if you don't have the money to be transferred from other line items, you could just raise it on the tax rate in the following year, which is what a lot of people typically do. But at this point, and probably for the next couple of years, I don't see us having any issues transferring it from other departments.
And other than the overtime budget, I mean, I don't know about you guys, I didn't notice anything really out of line.
No, me neither.
No, with the general fund departments, there's not typically any big surprises other than overtime.
Because 80% of them are the full-time salary. So, right, I mean,
Right.
there's not really, nothing gets out of line unless they come ask for something that they didn't think they needed, and we have to sort of transfer in money to their budget anyway.
The other thing, but I don't think it's gonna be a huge dollar amount, I think we mentioned before that the lease line item for everybody for their copier contracts, those are going to start going negative. And the way the contract works, I don't know why they did it this way, but they did it in 2 separate contracts. We don't get billed on a monthly basis. We get billed on one of them on, like, say, a 2-month period that doesn't coincide with the 2-month period of the next one. So we don't have a really good process of saying, hey, what does the history look like here? So we're trying to take as much of the year as possible to kind of calculate out what we think it's going to go to for the end of the year. And then we'll probably need, maybe like 10K, of a transfer into those funds to cover those deficits. We now pay usage on those contracts and we never did before. So there was really nothing to
This is like,
gauge on it.
we did our best to sort of estimate how much we're gonna use. It's gonna be sort of like how, when the high school comes on, like,
Yeah.
we're gonna do our best to get the number right. But until you have that historical data that we rely on, we just threw a number in there, and so, I mean, I shame everybody in my office that prints, but, you know, we just don't know what that's gonna look like. We try not to print, but you gotta print.
I do my part. I don't print it.
Oh my God.
The last, sorry, comment, OPEB, I believe it said 34% that we're at. It's actually a lot better than what I've thought, I mean, especially compared to other towns and cities.
We're number 3 as of 2021.
See, that's pretty good. But again, I know with free cash, like I said, that was always one where, like I told you in the past, I thought there was a certain number. If you get to a certain percentage, it's almost self-sufficient. You know, you're not funding it 100%, but you're not going backwards on it. And I don't know what the percentage was. I can't believe I don't remember.
We've been having this conversation because we're always looking at, you know, sort of ways to get, I'll call it creative with the budget and sort of making our money work for us. And we just have been looking at our sort of reserve policy and funding these things where we're raising $100,000 to feed OPEB every year, and it made 1.3 million. So do we need to raise that money every year if we're making that, when this, because this number is just going to keep going up as long as our investments are going up. So is there a way to, and we were just sort of reading the law, and the OPEB account is for current and future liability. So there's a question out to our attorney's office, and I think the DLS, he wasn't available today, but to see what that actually means, because to me, that means you can fund some of that liability in the current year's budget. That's what it looks like to me. And we have our health insurance line items, but we also have our retirees' health insurance line items. And there's, up until Medicaid eligible, 65, anybody that's retired is still at 70-30. And then when you get to 65, you go to 50-50. Town, yeah, you got me. So we were looking at something like, would it make sense to sort of cushion that blow for those employees that are in between and sort of pick up that delta with our OPEB account, sort of making that money work for us, right? We have this reserve account that who knows when we're going to need it or use it. But if we can use it for our current liability, this is a question we're sort of.
So I'm assuming we're using OPEB, other post-employment benefit money for the people that have retired, as we're paying that portion that doesn't come out of OPEB?
It doesn't. So.
Why?
Because kind of like with that.
That's an account for it.
So for example, like we have a compensated absences fund. Up until the point that we 100% funded that, and it was making enough money every year so that when we do start paying, if somebody leaves and we owe them vacation time, now we can afford to do that with the interest that we're earning on that fund. So OPEB works the same way. Like the whole point is you want to try and reach your liability to the point that it's earning enough interest every year so that it can pay those liabilities. Our liability is about $2 million for other post-employee benefits annually. We don't earn $2 million on the fund. So technically you haven't reached a point where you'd want to pay all of your other post-employment benefits with it. But if we're earning 1.5, why couldn't we fund maybe 250,000, which is that delta annually? Because we're going to earn, 1.5, maybe use 250 of that. But then the following year, we have a higher balance. We're going to earn a little bit more, and so on and so forth. So the fund still continues to grow, but you use a portion of what we're earning on the fund to pay those liabilities.
And I guess that's where my question came in. At what point do we get that?
And this is the point that we're now looking at it.
This is why we're looking at it. To find out if my interpretation of current is the current year, which it has to be, right?
Yeah, I would imagine.
I would imagine.
We just want somebody to tell us we're right.
Correct.
Otherwise, this is just
Just a future
fund
thing. It
sitting
wouldn't
there
make
that-
any sense, right? Like you have it for a rainy day and it never rains. That's, if you can't use it for a current year, it wouldn't make any sense. So we're just double checking before I go to jail.
The other things, the other things to think about. So, and I have a whole email put together. I just did not send it to you yet. But the other thing to think about is when you look at the history of that fund, right? When it was very small, we were earning very little in interest. There were a couple of years where we had huge losses, 700,000, 500,000. So you do have to keep that in mind.
Exactly.
That could happen again. The hope is that there's enough in the fund that, we're going to make that up in the years to come. But, the biggest thing is you want that fund to continue to grow. Don't want to take any more out of it than what you're earning. And at this point, because we haven't reached our target, you want to take very little out in comparison to what we're earning. But we are looking at possibly that, funding that delta.
And as you said, at some point, those lines intersect and then it's beneficial.
And I guess
to
that was
us.
my question. When do those lines intersect? At what number do we think they're going?
Yes, I could try and calculate that. Oh,
Just ask AI.
Yeah.
I don't trust AI.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ralph. Does anyone have any other questions? Thank you for the detail, Kim.
Thanks, Kim.
See, that wasn't
you.
so bad.
Honestly, Tom says everything all up front. There's very little I have to add at the end.
It's very nice of you.
All right, next on the agenda, we have accepting a $1,000 donation from Bay Path University to support the East Long Meadow Police Department. So this has gone back and forth with a couple mistakes. We didn't realize that Bay Path sent us 2 donations, so we kept looking at the opposite one each time we were looking at it. So the one we're approving tonight is police, and then at next meeting's
I'll
agenda,
give you the,
we'll actually have.
the fire one next time.
Okay.
I couldn't figure out, well, this is the only one I had on my desk and I didn't see the police one and he's like, is that police or fire? Can you just double check? And I'm like, it's fire. No, it's not.
Right.
Sorry. Little chuckle.
Want a motion?
Sure.
Okay, I move to accept a donation in the amount of $1,000 from Bay Path University to support the East Long Meadow Police Department per Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 44, Section 53A.
Second.
Motion was made and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you, Bay Path.
Yes, thank you very much to them for that. And then next we have accepting a $1,200 donation from the Leahy family. It was actually 2 donations, one for $1,000 and one for $200. But thank you to them as well. Is there a motion?
I move to accept a donation in the amount of $1,200 from the Leahy family per Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 44, Section 53A.
Second.
Motion was made and seconded. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Next, we have approving town employee compensation increases from the resulting compensation and classification study that exceeded 10% in a fiscal year, which is necessary per our charter, Article 3, Section 2, powers and duties. I'll let Tom provide a background to this.
Well, I'll start the background with this with an apology because of all the moving parts in this, implementing this, I forgot the most important piece, which was in order to get some of these to the minimum, there was an increase of 10%, which requires your approval. So I do apologize. That is my fault. I totally missed that upon that implementation. So I apologize. Again, this is just to get these 3 employees to the bottom rung of the ladder based on the new wage and classification study. So mea culpa there. I apologize.
Anyone have any questions?
So I'm disappointed. I did talk to you months ago with regards to it. You basically acknowledged it, you knew it. and it looks like they've already received their compensation increases. I just,
Yep, I can't apologize enough,
I'm
Ralph.
definitely not happy with it. And, I mean, when I discussed it with you, it was basically like, hey, I know some people, and again, we didn't know if it was gonna be 3 or 30 or, because the last time we actually looked at the compensation, you had said, well, you know, this is the basic, this is where we think it's going. It still needs some tweaks. It's not completed yet. And that's where we stood with it. And, you know, we had talked about, well, if someone was gonna go quite a bit, you don't have to do it all at once. You could split it into 2 separate years. I mean, and this all started, and the only reason that this is in the charter and the 10% is because of a previous town manager that gave raises that were
Right.
extremely excessive, and the council had no clue. And then all of a sudden it comes time for the budget, and it's like, well, I already got that. It's contractual, you just gotta go with it. And it feels as though this is somewhat the same. It's already been done. There's nothing I can do. You just gotta say yes.
Yeah, no, like I said, that I opened with an apology and I mean it. I know better. I know we talked about it. I talked about it with, I think, President O'Shea as well. And it didn't happen. I don't know what else to say besides I do apologize. And if there's a way to, if there's a way that you're more comfortable for this outlay, then that's something we can talk about.
Ralph, what was your conversation with Tom? I guess I don't know.
So I reminded them that there was a 10%, there was a charter rule that basically said any increase above 10% has to receive prior approval from the council.
From us.
And I just wanted to make sure with all these changes that no one was gonna go above that. And if they did, that he came to us and said, hey, listen, these 3 people are gonna go above it. And again, I do understand, I did look at the compensation, I did look at the jobs. I'm not saying that the people don't deserve to make a minimum of, you know, what they are. That's not my issue.
I took it out of order. It's out of order.
And again, that was my issue with it.
Yep, no,
And if I didn't come out and say it, it wouldn't be right either. I mean.
It still wouldn't be right. No, I know.
Like I said,
That apology was for all of you, and especially for you, because I do recall you reminding me 3 months ago.
Tom, did you just forget?
Yep.
Okay.
And so last month, we were sort of, we started this in like April or May, and we finally were getting to a point, and that's why we did all those transfers at the last meeting because the money for this was in the budget in the reserve fund. But we can't use the general fund for the increases in the enterprise funds, so we worked on getting all those figures together and having that motion done. And then it was after that meeting when I had a oh shoot moment, and again, I do apologize.
So these increases are budgeted?
Well, that's why we budgeted the extra money in the reserve fund line item, so that next year there'll be no increase in the budget, because I'll bring the reserve fund back down to whatever it needs to be.
So when do we actually start paying the increases?
So I think it was right before Christmas-ish. It was after we made the motions at the December meeting, because we didn't have the money to do that.
I think the email said November.
I thought it said November as well.
I didn't see that. Okay, thank you.
Just listening to it, I think it is important to distinguish the fact that why that 10% is there was because stuff was done not out in the open previously, and there was a compensation study here done. So it's not like the numbers are surprising or the raises are surprising. the process got screwed up, but there's no intent in terms of hiding anything. I think that's an
No,
important
correct.
distinguish
Right.
factor here in talking about this.
Yes, and I think for the public benefit too, although the numbers sound high when you think about them in percent, for a couple of the employees, they were pretty paid, so it sounds like a big percent, but dollar-wise, it's not exactly a gigantic increase.
I've said my piece, thank you.
If there's no other comments, I'll entertain a motion.
I move to approve the town employee compensation increases from the compensation and classification study exceeding 10% in the fiscal year per the charter, Article 3, Section 2, powers and duties.
Second.
Oh, hold on a minute.
Sorry, Dan.
Jessica
I was reading the
Stacy,
wrong paper.
Jessica Stacy, 17.26%, Christopher Quinn, 17.69%, Audra Graham, 10.92%.
Second.
I would ask for a roll call vote on this one.
Sure. So a motion was made and seconded. We will do a roll call vote. Is there any other discussion? Vote, seeing none. Jim?
Yes.
Kathy?
Yes.
Anna?
Yes.
I'm a yes. Marilyn?
Yes.
Ralph?
No.
And John?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda, we have appropriating $250,000 from free cash for the Carlin Combustion Cleanup Project at 70 Maple Street. And I will turn that over to Tom as well to give us some background.
Thank you. So I'll ask Rebecca for some assistance with this agenda item, and as well, Eric Weiss is here from Pioneer Valley Planning Commission. They've been doing quite a bit of work to get us to this point, which we still got a long way to go, but I can't even explain how much work Rebecca and Eric and the team at Weston and Sampson, DEP, EPA even has been sort of helping us with the items that they can help with. They can't really help with the application because, this appropriation in front of you is our commitment to sort of the project. DEP and Pioneer Valley have designated some funding for this project for us. And again, this appropriation is to show our commitment and leverage these funds towards our application. I don't want to say it's just a random amount of money. This is the same amount of money that DEP offered us in their grant for work to be done at the project. And again, the application process of this nature, I've said it already tonight, but this is a very comprehensive and a very competitive process. And the more that we can show that the whole community is behind this application and this project, the better. And this agenda item is for sort of a monetary commitment that were we to move forward, that these funds would be expended if need be. Is there anything else that anybody wants to add in terms of the whole process? I mean, there's a lot going on here, but if you guys want to.
Should I come up to the table or is it?
Please.
Come on up,
There's a
Eric.
microphone up
Introduce
there.
yourself.
I'm outside the window too.
That was creepy. I'm gonna have nightmares about that.
Good evening. Marilyn, I think you and I know each other from a long ways back in the recycling world.
Oh, my gosh. Hi.
Hi. Arlene Miller, that whole crew?
Yep, absolutely. Good work back then.
So everybody knows the property, you know, the challenges. In order to start the process of cleaning up, we put part of the Brownfields grant in place to help East Longmeadow through the process we have with the EPA fund. And subsequent to that, because of where things are at, the DEP of Massachusetts has offered up $250,000 to help start cleaning up the dirt at the site. And then the idea here is that they're making a federal application for an EPA grant, which is very competitive. And the more items you can put into that make you competitive, the better off you're going to be. All of this has the overarching goal of cleaning up the site so that the town can do what it wants. You don't want what's there. You want to move on from that and then have something better there. And this is the first significant steps taken to be able to do that. So obviously, it's important for the town to measure this and take it right, but if everything can move ahead, then you'll be in a much stronger position to get this property redeveloped the way you want to do it.
I might just add that this is the last year of funding that came out of a bipartisan spending bill at the federal level. So it's not clear when funds for brownfields cleanup will come back around, or if they will. So we're in a really strategically well-poised position to we're going after $4 million of cleanup funds from the federal government. And just to reiterate what Eric and Tom are saying, the application is scored better the more funds that you could demonstrate have been leveraged alongside of the 4 million that we're asking for. So we have 250 committed from EPA. PVPC has already committed funds through the grant that they have with the EPA to secure the LSP services that we're getting from Weston and Sampson. Moving forward onto future assessment, we're going to receive another almost $100,000 from PVPC there. And so we're looking to demonstrate the town's commitment to making sure that we can do all phases of cleanup and plan for reuse with this funding that we're setting aside.
Is 4 million what we think it'll cost? Okay.
And so we're
That's also the
looking,
largest, sorry, that's also the largest amount we can ask for, isn't it?
Yes.
we are looking to spend 250 to get 4 million.
So I sort of drew the comparison to like our outlook on North Main out here, how we put up the $500,000 to do all the design, and then with the thoughts that DOT would sort of fund a lot of it. And it's a similar thought process. Again, adding this really bolsters our application. If we knew we were the only one applying, perhaps we wouldn't have to cross all the Ts twice. Twice now, we're on twice. So I think it behooves us to sort of show our level of commitment to this process in order to score the best we can to get this grant. And the alternative is we don't get any funding.
Right.
I thought that there was some cleanup done on the site already.
So there was a lot of assessment work done. There was a lot of remediation done in the form of soil removal, but a lot of that soil ended up in the building.
Correct.
And we were talking about this before the meeting, that as this process was coming up, DEP was going to offer some funding to remove that dirt from the building, and the price of which got sort of astronomical based on sampling of that soil and how far they had to drive the soil, transportation again, right? And so that has sort of now turned into funds that we can leverage for this project, all of which will still include removing all the dirt. So did that answer?
Yeah, I think as you're speaking, my brain is also thinking.
Yeah.
And I remember possibly that the surface was cleaned up.
Yeah.
But if there was going to be major excavation, that would require additional.
So and again, there's a lot of assessment work that is going to have to continue to happen.
Right.
I think we have a good picture of what the site is, but once we start peeling back layers, we're going to find out that there's more.
I hope you don't find any surprises.
So yeah, again, the application is now on the website. The draft, right, is on the website. It's right on the front page on the news flash site. And again, we're also sort of soliciting attendance at the planning board meeting on the 20th. We've been sort of reaching out to our community members. This is obviously this is a very important project for the town of East Long Meadow. You
One
know,
last little point.
Yeah.
This allows you to do two things at the same time, which is continue the assessment with Weston and Sampson and apply for funds. It's not that one's going to stop the other. So you're going to be able to answer some of those questions, because that's important to the cleanup process as well.
That's,
I think the way I was thinking about this, similar to, you mentioned the North Main Street projects, is that if we do end up getting the grant, it is a relatively small investment, but we get a pretty good value out of it overall. And then, of course, it is important to clean up the site. It's vacant and blighted, and it would be nice to be able to do something with it other than have it just sit there contaminated.
Once it's cleaned up and on the tax rolls, it'll generate many more millions of dollars for the town. So it's important, it's imperative that it gets cleaned up, and it's a key location in town, so.
And then I think it's something Tom and I were talking about too the other day, that of course we hope we get the grant, but should that not succeed and we're not able to move forward with the project, given that exorbitant cost and at least in the immediate budget cycle, it doesn't mean that that 250,000 has to stay appropriated. We could always rescind that in the future if things don't come to fruition. So
Yeah, I
it's a
mean-
good commitment, assuming that things move forward, and then if plans have to change, there's still options.
Do you have any idea how much money is available for this?
What do you mean by that?
I mean, we're asking for 4 million. Is that the biggest amount, or is the pot, the amount of money available for this project more than that?
The cap on the ask on the grant is $4 million, so it's the most that you.
like the total amount
That's
of,
right.
oh, like,
Federal government.
how competitive is it?
Yes.
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
yes.
I don't know the total amount
Okay.
that's been appropriated.
Oh, I saw it before.
Of course he did.
Well, because I believe it was last year, there was like 16 towns that received some funding.
Right. And there are 2 or 3 different programs, so it's hard to tell.
Yeah,
Yeah, so.
but I remembered this was the last year.
Yeah.
I do have a question now.
Sure.
So if we receive the grant for 4 million, what does it include? Is it just the cleanup, the demo of the building, and there's no construction, no, I mean, obviously, we haven't decided, once it's cleaned up, what we're even doing with the property yet.
Right.
So, I mean, I know Rebecca was just talking about it getting back on the tax rolls. The problem is it's a town-owned parcel right at the moment, so the town would be paying themselves if they paid taxes on it, which is 0. And again, not knowing exactly what we're doing with it, I'm assuming the grant is strictly for clean up the demo of the building, any additional contamination that may have spread off the
Future.
site,
Future monitoring.
future
probably, yeah.
monitoring.
A lot of that rides on what they discover or don't discover as they continue the evaluation of the site. And that will also determine how far that 4 million can go. So I wish I could answer that question, but I can't.
But I mean, as far as, there's nothing for reconstruction on the site at the moment.
No, this is all for cleanup and
Cleanup.
getting the site as clean as possible.
Then we could figure out what, if it's something that we want to use for municipal use, then obviously it won't be on the tax roll. But if we want to market the property, we put it back on the tax.
Then you have a clean property
Clean
that you're
property,
trying to
right,
market.
exactly,
In the
right.
middle of your town. And if we're going to clean up a place,
In the middle of the town.
probably a really good one to do.
Yeah, I agree.
And we had already discussed and thought about this when the town actually took it, so.
And then we have a document from West Mass Development that talks about funding sources and opportunities once the site is clean, or when we're in the process of the reuse phase. So that, like,
Yep.
once we clean the site, we have also new opportunities to get more funding to repurpose and reuse.
Right.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I forgot about that West Mass paper.
Right.
Sorry, this was already said, but when would we know it when we got the grant?
2082.
It's like 4 or 5 months down.
5 months from now.
It's an interesting amount of time to continue the assessment work so that,
But I don't want to sell myself on that. I think it's May, but it could be June, but, and with all the,
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool. Any other questions?
No.
I will entertain a motion.
I move to appropriate $250,000 from free cash for the Carlin combustion cleanup project at 70 Maple Street.
I'll second that.
Motion was made and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
I have to say, it's a real pleasure working with these two, so thank you both very much.
You too, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all for your hard work putting it together.
Gives me something to read after I get home.
Yeah, right. You know, I was thinking of you when I hit send.
25 pages. And it's dense reading.
Thank you for taking the time.
Thank you very much.
It's not double
No,
straight.
no, I know.
Okay, next we have approval of our December 9th meeting minutes. Is there a motion?
I move to approve the December 9th, 2025 meeting minutes.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstentions?
Abstain.
Abstention. Okay. Next, under old business, we have our recurring topic for the 250th anniversary and potentially celebration ideas. I thought of a couple things. Where did I write them down is the question. I know in previous years, I think this was back for the town's 125th, there was like some sort of gala that was put on. I don't know if there's an interest in doing that from a town celebration perspective, but that could be interesting.
Gala.
Yeah.
I love a gala.
Word's not used enough.
I know, right? There could also be like tree planting. I know, especially as ones have fallen over storms down some of our main streets. Maybe we reline some streets with 250th trees. I don't know. 250 trees for the 250th. That's expensive, I'm sure.
Maybe I can retire. I can't take a contract with the town.
I know. And then I know.
Come back after the contract.
Yeah.
I've seen in some other communities throughout Mass that they have on the utility poles, they have different banners, either just like celebrating different seasons, or sometimes they call them like hometown heroes.
Yeah.
Ludlow has. The 125th, it was very nice.
Yeah, so it might be interesting to do.
And the
some-
gala was very nice. All the big prizes.
I did.
Oh, wow.
I would think we should look into what the cost would be to do something like that.
Right. And maybe that's something we could ask the historical commission if there's previous service members or something that could be recognized on it or something.
Yeah.
Some of them specifically in towns, they leave them up year round, and it's like people that have like served in their military from their community.
Oh, wow.
That could be something that's interesting.
I'm meeting with Tom Behan, the chair of historical tomorrow, actually. They're talking the reminder to sort of talk about the time capsule and the 250th. So I will bring that up. They're always looking for fun stuff like that to do. That would be really cool.
I think there's actually a company that makes them that maybe isn't called Hometown Heroes, so it could be something to look at. Those are the ideas that I was thinking of since the last meeting. I don't know if anyone has anything else.
We're going to continue to meet we have sort of like a impromptu kind of group at Rotary and historical and parade committee, and just trying to get our ideas. We sort of took a little break here for the holidays, but I'll get that email started again to try to figure out what everybody around town is thinking. But I think everybody's getting a little bit excited about, there's a lot of stuff going on in the state too. So I'll continue, if it's okay, perhaps we keep that sort of on the agenda.
Yeah.
We just kind of keep coming up with ideas. I always come up with fun ideas about 14 minutes after I leave the parking lot.
Yeah, we'll keep that as a recurring topic for sure.
Can we look into, if we're marching in the parade, to get the same shirts or something?
Oh, yeah, that's a good idea.
Or a sash.
You have to wear it to the gala, too.
Diamond
I'll
studded,
order the sashes myself.
bedazzled.
Bedazzled.
I'm getting sashes.
I think that's something we've thought about every time we're the day of the parade, and we're like,
Okay.
think about that for next year, and then we forget.
Well, I feel like a nice polo shirt or,
Golf shirt.
yeah.
No, that's a good idea.
I don't want to wear a golf shirt.
Sorry.
I don't wear
Oh, Jamie.
If you do a gala or anything, I just want to offer up, okay, we can make videos about anything. I kind of had an idea to do like 250 tidbits about the parade in East Long Meadow. Like anything like that you guys think of, I can probably make it.
Yeah, she can definitely do it.
Good.
Great idea.
Awesome.
Yeah, and maybe kind of even on the 4th of July theme, maybe there's something, I don't know what, off the top of my head, but we may have that celebration account. Maybe there's something we could add to ramp it up this year, especially knowing that people were a little deflated last year over the fireworks thing. Maybe there's something more we can do as an extra special year. I don't know what, but
Yeah, no, I think, yeah, we can sort of do whatever we want. I think there's a lot of ideas out there. I think, again, like I said, a lot of people are sort of talking about it and thinking about it, and Ralph.
We'll do hot air balloon rides.
Oh.
Whoa. Speaking of insurance.
Actually, the East Long Meadow Small Business Association did that for the first Oktoberfest. And the amount of people that stopped and came over, they had no clue what else was going on, but they wanted to take a ride in the hot air balloon. It drew in quite a few extra people.
Nice.
And the cost actually wasn't bad at all. They did it by the hour. I think we had them for 3 or 4 hours there.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah, that's pretty neat.
The whole council could go up in the balloon.
Take us all out at once, right?
We'll have
cut the
we'll
cord.
take a picture of us up there.
Up there, that'd be awesome.
Who's the designated survivor?
I have Marilyn will be on the ground.
With a BB gun.
Yeah.
I'll ride in a chase vehicle.
All right. Well, now that we deflated that topic, we'll move to the
Nice.
second item.
Good pun segue. I love a good pun segue.
Next was just an update on the zoning diagnostic deliverables. I know from the bylaw review committee perspective, we had met with the consultant Barrett Plan for like the initial overview of their plan. But I was just wondering what the update on the next steps were from what they owe the town.
I'm not even really sure where that's at. I meant to ask Rob about it this morning, and do you have an update on Barrett? Where they're at, like what their next sort of deliverable is?
I think we are at this, so we created the diagnostic, and we did a video with LCAT at the beginning of last week, and so that's in production, and that's going to be generating public input and interest in the survey that we created. And then I think from the survey, we'll be able to get feedback from residents and put it alongside of the feedback that they got from other boards and commissions in town that they interviewed. And then we'll get a set of recommendations, and they'll probably rank order the recommendations based on the feedback and the priorities that they're getting from the community and the stakeholders that they've spoken with. I think that we could also ask for some like language on some of them as like model bylaws, but I think the next thing is just going to be rank ordering the recommendations and getting ready to present you all with a final document.
Great. Did they have any estimation when, just roughly when that might be? Is that like months away or?
I have a timeline. I can look it up if you give me a second.
Sure.
It'll take a minute or two, so you can.
Sorry to put you on the spot. Yeah, I meant to ask Rob this morning. I forgot. I can email all you an update tomorrow too.
Yeah, or if you just want to send it to us, email, that's fine too.
Okay.
Great. Well, in the interim, we will move on to the next topic under old business, which is discussing goals and language for a Centertown District zoning bylaw. So from some previous meetings that we had, this is hopefully just to start enumerating things that we might want to see or might not want to see. Any language that is crafted for a Centertown District zoning bylaw, so that we get that process back on track. I don't know if anyone has anything that they want to lead with, but the floor is open.
Sure, you want me to start?
Sure, Ralph.
So initially, when we talked about a Centertown district, one of my concerns was the industrial uses within the center of town. I don't think the center of our town should be used for manufacturing facilities. Now, originally along the railroad is where the industrial zone went. And obviously that's how most of the products and all came and went. I just think going forward, the center of our town should move away from industrial uses, stay with business uses, commercial uses. I mean, one of our thoughts is, well, we want to make it more walkable. I understand that. But how are we going to deal with the traffic within the town in order to make it more walkable? What's the infrastructure going to look like to get to that point? Because it's hard to create something. I mean, you can create a Centertown district around what we have now, but you can never call it walkable. You're taking your life in your hand trying to walk across the center. So I think this is one that's working, but I would look towards the industrial and see what uses are allowed in the industrial that we no longer want. I think that's critical. Like I said, warehouses, manufacturing, stuff like that. Now, granted, even if we remove that from our zoning, anyone that's currently doing that will be grandfathered in and can continue to do it. So I think certain things we have to look at is parking areas. Are we gonna allow a small area for, let's say, a parking garage, you know, maybe down, I'm gonna say the end of, what is it, Baldwin Street or something? And I'm not talking a 4-story parking garage, I'm just talking an area that's maybe 2 stories or whatever, to where when you exit it, you're right on the walking trail. I mean, these are things that I think we should start to look at, I mean, as it was brought up before, shortcuts. By shortcuts, I mean, let's say you want to go over towards the Rockies and the plaza. Well, if you're parked over at the library, you really don't want to have to walk down around the Rotary and down. Is there any walkways or whatever that we can put in to make things shorter? Obviously, we've got a beautiful walking trail. We need to look at ways to connect that to actual businesses, even the businesses that are currently near it. I believe there's only one, I think it's the bike shop on Shaker Road.
That actually has a.
Maybe 2 now that have connections. None of the other ones have connections. And I mean, that's something we have to look at. Just a few suggestions.
Is there any, don't even have the right word to ask here, the expansion of the rail, the walking trail?
Yep.
Is that somewhere on a back burner or?
So it's on a burner. And I just talked to the property owner last week. We need to sort of initiate what that looks like when the property is transferred in terms of the site plan that is approved on the property. So that is in the calculation for both land area for the development, the center square, and the parking calculation and some parking spaces. So we have to sort of look at the logistics of what a acquisition of the land looks like, and then what sort of amendment to the site plan has to happen at the planning board. So yes, it's on a burner, not the front, not the back, right in the middle. But the conversations are ongoing, and again, we have a feasibility that was done last year, and so we just need to get that to the front burner. But yes, that is a plan. It's on the stove. But yes, that I think that would be sort of a key sort of ticket to some of development, especially in the back part of that area too.
The redesign of the Rotary is really, I think, key to how we can develop how to use the land. Because there was, well, it was one example, and I thought we were gonna see something else.
It's coming, yep.
And, you know, that one that we looked at, did acquisition of land, additional buildings, street parking. I think of street parking with the way things are set up right now, and it makes me scared. I mean, it makes me nervous.
Yeah, right.
What's going through the town center. So I don't think that we can look at one without looking at the other.
Okay.
That's it.
I think that's a good point, especially if that either removed some land that you would previously have thought would have been part of a center town district, or maybe it adds land that now we should consider uses for and what the district could encompass, so they do kind of go hand in hand. Ralph?
So I'm just gonna elaborate a little bit on the walking trail. I think one of the holdups has been the fact that the plaza there needed X number of spots.
Correct.
And so they put them out there.
Right.
I've recently been made aware by another decision that the planning board had made, that currently they can waive the requirements for the number of parking spaces. And if that's the case, until that's changed, a site plan may want to be brought forwards sooner rather than later to say, these spots aren't being used. Do we still need those? And if the planning board would be so apt to adjust the site plan and waive the required number of spots, then the rail trail may be able to go forwards quicker.
Yeah, and so we had talked.
I want that.
No, I know, we had talked about that, but there still would have to be some sort of engineering cost to change those plans. Even if they did put a check mark on the waiver for the parking spots, that site plan has to be revised, right? The area in which it sits is going to change. There's more changes than just the parking required for, which again, if we did that parking now compared to what they did it when it happened with the different businesses that are in there, that parking count might not even be accurate anyway, right?
So if I'm correct, back then, wasn't there two separate plans? Was there a site plan and then a parking plan?
Was all under special permit. So I think, well, but it was a planned business development. And the parking was all encompassed with the plan.
With
So
the
I don't believe
okay.
that it was separate.
Okay.
I also don't agree with what you're saying. And I'm sorry. We're not thinking alike right now. When the council changed the bylaw based on Bailey's recommendation for the parking plan, this was added, the waiver was added at that time. And I'm trying to picture it, you know, you're looking at the chapter and the section for off-street parking, and then you look at item A, which is basically a subsection. And under item A is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Number 6 was the waiver. And based on the cover letter that Bailey added with the application, and the language we understood when we voted on it, that the waiver was for that section only. But it was written wrong, because it should be subsection rather than section. And if you look at his cover letter, there's an area that says, I'm not asking you to make any changes to the parameters of the off-street parking. It's just to give him more latitude as a director who was handling these things in the office rather than the planning board. So I actually have written this information to the chairman of the planning board, who asked me if there was anything that I felt we needed to look at, and that was one of them. So I gave it to him. I don't know where it's going to go, but I really feel that the intent of the change that we all made was not to give the planning board the power to change the dimensions of parking places, the size of parking, the number of parking, the amount of area between, in a large parking lot, there's a certain amount of area that's required between the spaces. All of that is really, at this point, carved in stone until, something were to change. I don't feel that to do this right now, I wouldn't approve it. I know what you want to do, but I don't think it's right, because that's not what the intent of the change was to begin with.
And I think out of principle, and I found out right around the same time he did, why have such a robust set of calculations and regulations in your parking requirements just for somebody to waive them?
Right.
I totally agree.
And I think that, and also in that cover letter, Bailey very specifically mentioned that he suggested that the town, work with a consultant and look at our parking requirements, and I absolutely support that. I mean, we talked about it when we looked at the aerial view of how much parking we have
Right.
in the town center, and I was absolutely amazed myself. I just feel like, we just need to do it correctly.
Yeah, and I think we talked about it sort of tangentially as well when all this stormwater came in, right? We were like, they're trying to cut down the amount of pavement, yet we require that they have all that pavement, right? And so like the regulations aren't talking to one another.
Well,
But
they were set, years back.
until they get changed, there's no reason to have a parking spot for every 250 square feet of warehouse, right? I mean, it's not necessarily correct anymore, right? That's what needs to be looked at, not
Well,
waiving
actually-
the whole thing.
Actually, when you think about it, we have parking plans for our housing for the elderly. They don't have cars, they're old people. And
Some of them do.
I don't-
Some of them do.
No, I'm just being facetious when I said that, when the bylaw is created.
Yep.
And we have huge parking problems.
And the requirement and the actual use aren't there, right? Those parking spaces on the rail trail are absolutely required. Never used, ever, 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 ever.
Right. And
That's not
actually, we
true.
reduced that.
You use them to go to brew practitioner.
Yeah, brew, okay,
And
fine.
we actually reduced
When the lobster
the
truck.
formula for that project, because we went back to town meeting after it was established and reduced it. It was 5 spaces per 1,000 square feet. And we reduced it to 4.5, which doesn't sound like a lot, but when looking at the whole parking lot,
Correct.
it allowed the restaurant to seat more people.
And I wonder if it's been revised every time a use has changed in one of those spaces, because I'm guessing it hasn't.
You can. It's special permit. Is that what you
Right,
mean?
no, but I think what he was saying is certain businesses go in and they were high use.
Well, that's,
which was in
that's
special
the
permit, but
problem
that
with
was
that.
never looked at, so.
Well, we had, in that particular proposal, we were looking at high-traffic generators, and the
Right.
bank was considered one. But here, it just.
Right.
Which bank?
Everything changes.
Yeah.
One of many. Anyway. You're gonna miss me in June. You'll be glad I'm gone.
So so I think when we sort of started the whole thing, I'm all for getting those industrial uses out of the center of town. Business commercial seems much more appropriate. So from a use standpoint, I think that's okay, but we're looking at a mixed use zoning bylaw? Is that something that people want to see what that looks like? I mean, different than what was submitted prior? Like maybe more along the lines of the mixed-use village bylaw that was put together, which was a little more straightforward?
The mixed-use village bylaw that we did was created for a large.
Yeah.
And we knew at the time that there would be, at least I thought that we were hopeful that we could have something on a much smaller scale in our town center. That was brought up then. I would think that if we're going to look at mixed use, And I have no problem with that, because half the use is already there. You want to just add the residential piece.
Yep.
And so that would trigger in my mind some standards or some criteria to just create the use and then allow all the land to be developed in one specific way, I don't think is in the best interest of the town center. I really think that we would need to have, basically conceptually we're looking at 70 Maple, and we have already seen a plan that could possibly exist on that property. And yeah, but the question is, are we going to see that at the end of Baldwin Street? Are we going to see that with Steve Graham's property? We have to be, I think we have to be careful as to how much we invite into the town center, because where are we going to put it all? Where are we going to put all the people, the traffic? I seem to be the only one concerned about that. But, that's, we need to have some kind of criteria to be able to, encourage development in a certain way. I guess that's where I'm going.
I think housing and commercial are important. I think only having one of them, you got to kind of have both of it, because I think there is a demand for newer, different businesses, but there's also a demand for housing, especially for, either the younger generation coming up or the over 55ers that don't want to be in their existing home. I do think also another conversation is, I think open space is really important. So I think retaining most of the open space we have, I think there's a tremendous value of having, whether it's those fields or just that area, the Leahy area, just be, continue to stay open, because I think could be attractive for development, but we only have so much open space now.
No low-income high-rises on Centerfield? Is that what you're saying?
That's okay. A no from me. And I do kind of agree with Rob. I think it's hard to make it walkable. I think I would love to make it a little safer. I think there's some, whether it's changing maybe the way.
Yeah, that might.
Just
the rotary design, yeah.
Whether it's maybe having people drive a little slower. I know that might be hard, but I don't, but it shouldn't be necessarily like a death trap. Like we should make it, there's a lot of these little small New England towns that have very easy walkable places where they have shops, and then maybe they have like a couple houses or whatnot in that area. I think that is very doable. So I think it's generally I think there's so much potential. I think it's an underdeveloped area. And I think the existing traffic, that definitely is an issue, but I think a lot of that stems from just, we have, a lot of people coming in from outside of center town, that need to use that area. So those are my thoughts. I think open space, housing, commercial, I think it all is important to have that be a part of it.
Great.
I'm going to say something at the risk of showing how little I know about this stuff. All right, so we are trying to think of a Centertown district bylaw. Create a bylaw in order to have a developer come in and create something based on that bylaw.
Right.
The way I look at it is I look at it backwards. I look at it is, can someone give us something that we like and that we want to see, and then base our bylaw off of that?
Yeah.
I can't picture things. Like when I saw that proposal for the center,
Yep.
I was blown away, because I cannot picture, and when we're talking about this, all I can picture is West Hartford. But the streets are wider, there's on-street parking, but the streets are a lot wider, and all I can think about is like, all right, how are we gonna do that in Maple Street? Like, I can't, in my brain, it just doesn't connect.
So one of the other projects going on right now through a grant is to sort of provide some renderings. So you have a visual of what that would look like.
Right.
What this density on this property with this parking would actually look like. So I don't know when we expect.
Is it just like, when you say density, you're talking housing?
Yeah, like if it would.
Yeah, but instead of like just housing, like, can we?
Right.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, so it would be, well, it's a mix, our directive was a mixed use.
Okay.
Okay, so there would be sort of a first floor commercial component with apartments, and say what, I think we gave them specific sites, like what would that look like on Romitos? And it's a 3D, it'll be a 3D rendering of, and I'm not sure when we expect to deliver it. We have a meeting
With them.
Thursday? So we're meeting with them Thursday to sort of wrap up this process of, because most people, and again, that was the first I really saw and pictured when Yukon Tab did that layout of 70 Maple.
Right.
It's hard to know what you're looking at and what that even, like you can say 12 units, 15 units per acre. What does that even mean? You can't picture that, right? So until you see what it looks like on a lot that you recognize, I totally agree with you. And so that was the point of going after that grant, was so that we could show what this looks like.
Yeah, and I guess I can't figure out what I would want there until.
Fair.
What is.
I don't think that's, a lot of people share that opinion.
Okay.
It's hard to see. It's hard to visualize.
Right.
And again, even the pictures
How do
we're
we
seeing in these progress meetings, when we see it, some of that just doesn't work on this particular site, right? Like, it's going to be hard, again, we'll go back to our parking stuff. It's going to be hard for somebody to go into Stacy's and have enough parking.
Right.
Not going to happen, right? It's going to be, not going to happen. It's going to be difficult. There's going to be some challenges with that site based on our current zoning. But if we had a different zone overlaying that, or we changed it to a different zone, maybe there's more that can happen there and that property flips over faster. So I totally agree, and we'll have more of an update. Maybe I can shoot you guys an email on Thursday to see how that meeting goes, and if there's anything that we can share at this point. We picked strategically a bunch of lots around the center, and then a little bit down where the original proposal had gone down Shaker, like one of those lots on Shaker, to see what something like that would look like. So that is another deliverable that's coming to sort of provide a picture of whatever parameters we gave them, mixed use, 12 units per acre, things like that.
Visualizing.
Design standards, though, too.
Yep.
And the reason why I say that is, people were very much upset with the bank in the center of town.
Yep.
Chase Bank. It just didn't look like how they thought it should look. But no offense to the gentleman, Rebecca, I can't remember, who provided us with the town center changing.
The redesign?
Yeah.
Jeff Speck.
Well, he showed us his house. And it was just, it was.
Yeah.
It was.
Not you. It wasn't you.
No, I'm sorry, but I don't think that that's what the town of East Long Meadow would like to embrace, is something that different than what's already here.
Mm-hmm.
The history stuff is going to stay.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I don't think it's impossible to come up with something that most people would be happy with.
Right.
But if you're going to make a change that drastic, I don't know.
Well, this is something that we've been working on internally, because the bylaw says that the design review committee should be installed in every site plan.
Absolutely.
That's what it says.
Right.
So we do have a tiny bit of a disconnect in that the appointing authority for everything does not have appointing authority over the design review committee, which is a little bit of a dot that needs to connect. And again, it's not a big deal. The planning director and some of the planning board are on it when need be. But from a governmental operation standpoint, that's something we'll maybe try to earmark when we.
I think that's an easy fix.
100%. I wouldn't even worry about it. But when it comes to a site plan, it's a requirement almost. It's the design review committee should be in there. So I think the design characteristics of whatever, an application on this proposed bylaw is obviously quite a bit off in the future, because we're sort of back to the drawing board on penning it. So I think in terms of the requirements of the actual bylaw language, is the setup of the mixed-use village kind of how you want to see it? does that have, it won't have the same numbers, obviously, because like you said, it was sort of set up for a larger parcel. But if the density, if there was a density requirement, and you brought up last time, the front yard setback being 0, and we could put it on the street, things like that, is that more in line with what you want to see for a Centertown district bylaw, whatever those numbers happen to be, whether we agree with them or not?
But I think some of the uses that we looked at in that larger project would be overwhelming for a town center.
I 100%
We
agree.
don't need, so that would have, if you're gonna look at that as a potential example, that we should probably step back and say, okay, we don't need
Yeah.
self-storage.
I didn't necessarily mean all the components of that bylaw.
Okay.
I meant sort of how you have it structured. Right,
Under
like,
special permit,
well,
so any mixed-use development would go under special permit.
is that how
would,
yeah, okay.
Well, so the mixed-use village, the entire thing is under special permit.
Okay.
But again, one of my concerns is when you come into the center, if you're gonna be allowing apartments, well, are we gonna limit the number of apartments? And what about the parking? Are they gonna turn around and build it close to the parking garage, which is public, and say,
Yeah.
hey, you don't need parking spaces here because you can walk 2 blocks down and use that? Again,
No.
there's so many
I think,
intricacies that, and again, I know we've been talking apartments and stuff. I still have a concern. I go way back to when this came up at town meeting, and basically the town said, we want our town, the center, to be basically business, and we want our 1-acre parcels with our nice houses, out surrounding it, and that's what we want. And I don't know how much the town's changed since that. I know some people have, some love apartments, some don't. I go and I keep looking, even in my own self, is if you're owner occupied, you take care of the property a lot better. My parents rented for 50 years, and there was so much more we could have done there. But the thought process was always, how much do we want to sink into someone else's property to make it more valuable, so that we're just going to pay more when he's ready to sell it to us? So we maintained it, but we didn't keep improving it. And I worry about stuff like that. I'm in Springfield all the time, and I look at some of these buildings, and we talk about revenue. Look at the revenue we can generate. There are gonna be 4 stories and all these people, and the building is worth more. The building is not worth anything. Like I said, if it's not maintained, it falls apart and it's not worth anything. East Long Meadow is a high-valued community, and I don't want us to diminish what we have by overcrowding our Rotary. And I worry about that. And again, I don't have all the answers. I have a lot of fears. I don't have all the answers. I think the more oversight we have on it, the better. But a developer's probably not gonna want that much oversight, because it's a lot more red tape that you have to go through to get it built.
and this is an interesting conversation that, again, I feel like is changing because the state is pushing an agenda again, and that's with site plan review. They're sort of putting parameters in place for site plan review for everyone, which is scary. And for something like this that we're trying to sort of get off the ground and not sure what the final product would look like, the special permit is an interesting little wrinkle. I didn't consider that, but.
Because let's face it, every location.
We don't
is a
know
little
what's
bit
happening
different
right
in
now
town.
with this whole site plan thing. Rob's mentioned it a couple times that the state is sort of looking at sort of a holistic way that people are going to review site plans, and sort of like again, I don't think we've seen the last of the Commonwealth getting into our zoning, whether we like it or not. It is what it is. We're
But
not gonna.
site plan review is simply a review process, and it's based on the underlying zone. And if the project meets the requirements of our current zone, then it's approved. special permit gives you.
Should be.
Well, no, I'm serious.
No, I know.
Special permit is different. And you can say, I don't like the way the builder looks. Really, you could deny it for some ridiculous thing that hasn't happened. And I don't think that it would, because I think a special permit protects the developer, it also protects the town.
Well, and again, I'm sensing, and you're not alone, that this is going to be new. And there's going to be a lot of unknowns and fears, and so if there's ways that we can put language in a bylaw that sort of diminishes those fears, well, great.
And the piece that also concerns me is the value of our land. It's expensive. And we have people in the town center who own property that would like to, benefit from the value of that land. And so how much does a developer have to do on his or her parcel to appreciate, a reasonable, financial benefit? So.
You want the answer, or?
No, but what I'm trying to say is, if they were like the original bylaw that has been removed, but where there was more of an emphasis for a certain level of housing, I would imagine that the developer would have to build a heck of a lot more to make the financial goals that he or she is looking for.
Yeah, so truth be told, we had a bunch of conversations with a bunch of different developers, and this number or thereabouts, the 15 per acre is in this market, kind of that number.
15 per acre.
Which is a lot.
Market rate.
Market rate.
Aggregate.
No. And again, it seems like a lot. Not every parcel down there is a full acre, right? So you're not getting 15 units per building or anything like that. And we'll have some similar size requirements, and you can't do prison cells and have 20 of them, so that there's character and a design component to this. But yeah, the actual number of dwelling units is quite high right now. And again, we sort of had this conversation about the mixed-use village. That bylaw, when it was written, was appropriate.
For that location.
And now, 5 years later, nobody can build that. It's out of school already. It's no one's fault. The world changed, the economy changed, and you cannot build that. You just can't.
And it's not the residential piece that they can't build, it's a 30% commercial.
There's a lot, whatever that was, 100,000 square feet of commercial. Yeah, it's nice that you could put that many apartments in there, but the apartments they're putting in right now are like modular units. Like, you can't even build anything right now. It's so expensive.
But what that project did do, and I thought it was a nice step in the right direction, is that we went with affordable housing for 10% of the housing stock in that development.
Right.
So that at least gave the town a start to try to provide a different type of house, but it was affordable, 80% medium, not affordable and below.
Right.
And like it or not, some folks are concerned about that.
Was there a preference for East Long Meadow residents in there
Yes.
too? Do I recall that?
Right. I mean, Connor and I both need an apartment, so. I mean, my house.
2-bedroom?
My house is 2, he doesn't have one, so we both need an apartment for different reasons, so.
Sounds like an odd couple situation.
Do you want to rent together?
We'll get a 2-bedroom.
He'd be living with his grandmother.
Kind of like Anna, I'm so far from being anywhere knowledgeable in the subject area, but I guess kind of hitting on some of what you just said, Tom, and you, Marilyn, and I've heard you say this a bunch of times before, is I think with this type of thing, you're trying to plan something for how the town's going to look when probably none of us are going to be here.
Right.
So one of the things I think, I don't know how to articulate this in something like that, but it's flexibility to the point that you just made. It's something that was current 5 years ago is no longer current. So how do you craft something that is lives and can can kind of change, and I think what Ralph, what you just said with the special permit, I think that kind of allows you to do that, but I think also setting some, and I don't know how to articulate this in a bylaw, you know, some type of standard in, to your point, John, if you're doing commercial, you know, I think the residential piece has to link to the commercial piece in some way, because the residential has to kind of support the commercial. So I don't think it should be done in just will allow residential, allow commercial, but I think there should be some synergy there, and not just support any new businesses, but to support current businesses as well. And what does that kind of look like? Is it, you know, can a consultant help with that? Is it something that's even feasible or plausible? But I agree. I think that for the town, in order to grow, I think it can be done in a cosmetically desirable way. I think it can be done in a thoughtful way that supports both business and commercial interests. And I think I guess my other one real concern listening to everything is, okay, you have, you know, like the Carlin combustion site. You have a developer come in there here, you know, looks great, you know, we love it, we approve it. Now you have a larger parcel next door. It's, you know, do we want them to look different? Do we want them to look similar? Do we want some type of flow to everything? But now you're thinking 30 to 40 years out, you know, how do you know, some parcel on Shaker becomes available that somebody wants to build on, and how do you link that parcel on Shaker to be cosmetically and similar, I won't say similar, but stylistically appropriate to what's going on Maple Street, and something, there's a lot, that's where my thought process is, but I think there needs to be synergy to it all. I think that town should maintain some type of control, so we can, you know, not allow some scrupulous developer to come in and do a project that nobody likes. But I think it should be designed in a way that fits the town, fits the town's character, that achieves those developmental objectives of more residential. I think the other important part is I'm going to speak for Tom on this, I'm going to speak for Anna on this, you know, at our age bracket, we don't have disposable income. You know, we need to keep our seniors here who are no longer being weighed down by their children in their additional income, as well as the young people with no children, to support these commercial, you know, you said, you know, there's such a limited space or such a limited market right now for additional commercial space. It's, you know, we got to be flexible. And I think that's a big key to this, is the flexibility in it all, and not putting stuff that's too concrete in there that doesn't allow this bylaw to be productive, I guess, you know, 5, 10, 15, 20 years from now.
I think one of the things that I think what you were zeroing in on in terms of look and feel and is one of the things that has always, in my experience, been part of a zoning philosophy, in that you're going to basically develop not in, you know, it's sort of in concert with what's around you, rather than, you know, low stuff, high stuff, low stuff.
Building for the sake of building.
Right.
You know? But I mean, you go down the center now, the way there's so many industrial uses, there is none of that really. It's starting to, but there's a hodgepodge of a lot of stuff down there.
There's a situation in Long Meadow, it's at the border between Long Meadow and Enfield. And and on the Enfield side, they built Mayfair Place, which is beautiful, higher end apartment buildings. And the problem is, the buildings were built without any buffers because it was Enfield. They didn't have to care about what was happening in Long Meadow. And so these people in their backyards have these big building, large buildings and decks, and people are just staring. I mean, those are the kinds of things that when I talk about criteria, you know, I'd like to sort of make it so it complements one another, so people want to live there or work there, you know. I mean, we could talk about this in ad infinitum, but it's, you know, you need to balance things so that we don't have an overabundance of residents.
One thing or the other, right? I mean,
I think it should, you know, there should be a balance. I think about people in my age category, singles and doubles who have 2 and 3 cars. You know, they've got their sport car, they've got their SUV, And I mean, and these people then move into apartments. And so how do you deal with stuff like that? And I don't know the answer to that because you can't possibly accommodate with every unit. But that was one of the issues that was a problem with Jay LaFave's presentation or for the depot property. He was looking at one parking space per unit. And the feeling was that, you know, it had to at least be 1.5 spaces because you're gonna have 2 people living in a unit and each with a car. I mean, making it more walkable, yes, but you still need a car to go to the doctor, you still need a car to go wherever. So we're not gonna eliminate cars. That's the problem, at least that's how I see it. And having a parking garage 3 blocks away isn't gonna help either.
Well, this is an interesting point because it comes back to this every time we look at a different iteration of the center. No matter what we do, we're not stopping the amount of cars that come to the center. We can try to tell people that there's another way to go, but in all likelihood, we're not gonna see a downtick in traffic counts at any point soon, so.
Well, Rebecca had talked about utilizing the arteries around the town center.
And again, that's something that we can sort of we can pay Google to give them different directions, right?
I feel like people will go a different way if it's quicker.
Well, which is a funny sort of conventional wisdom to say, well, why don't we slow down our rotary? And then less people will go to it.
It'd be safer.
Right?
Yeah.
It's interesting. In fact, well, I won't get into that now, but I like sort of this collaborative conversation and sort of exchange of ideas because in all honesty, I think we sort of took the deliverable from PVPC and which was the Centertown District bylaw and sort of crafted it to a point that was different than 40R, but ended up kind of close. So it seems like we have some sort of information here. And again, this stuff is invented all the time. We have enough talent in our planning department and the deputy town manager to sort of look at these problems from a way that maybe nobody looked at before, right? It's Jeff Speck's talk about, yeah, this was what we wanted to do about, here's how we did zoning, right? And maybe that's the way we're gonna keep doing zoning. Maybe there's some hybrid of, let's do a little of this and a little of that, and maybe that works out for East Long Meadow. The thing I do know, and again, we'll go all the way back to day one of this whole conversation, is the conventional wisdom in this planning book or that planning book or Long Meadow's zoning bylaw or Brookline's zoning bylaw is not going to be what works the best for the center of East Long Meadow. None of it is. And so that's why everybody's sort of input is important because there is an idea. It's probably not written down yet.
One other thought, when we were working on the planned adult residential bylaw,
okay,
we put together a hybrid formula because we understood that the developer was looking to make X amount of dollars for this project.
Of course.
So we put together a hybrid formula to say, okay, if you build X number of units under 1,900 square feet or something like that, and just by virtue of size, they're more affordable based on the amount per square foot, then we'll let you build X more so that you can make money, so that there would be an opportunity for people in East Long Meadow to have a place to go if they wanted to. And I say that because, we're surrounded by other communities that have, better resources, I guess is the word I want to say it. And the developer looked at it and said, I see that, but went and built single-family houses because that was his choice.
Yep.
And that's okay, but they start at 500,000 apiece, the little guys. And so, that outprices some of our families here. And so.
And this,
East Long Meadow's always gonna outprice some of the surrounding communities. The only point I would make is historical. You know, we're talking about putting residential properties back in our center. And I think what most people don't realize is we had residential houses in the center of our town, and they all got taken over by businesses, torn down, and businesses went in. I mean, I can think of a couple right on Maple Street, right in front of Steve Graham's. We had the house that's with the plants and all. We had them on Shaker Road.
Larry
and
LaRose
they were
mansion.
literally taken down so that businesses could go in because that was the business zone. In our business zone, we allow single-family residences. You don't see anyone buying a business, ripping it down and putting a house in. It's not happening. It happens the opposite way. So my thought is as far as single family, unless you do change the permit and basically do like row houses where you can put, 6 in on the same basic size property, I don't see where a single family residence, and I don't know if I want a house like on Favorite Lane in the middle of our center. Not that they would put it there, but that's what they're paying for the property, so.
Yes. I think kind of summarizing a bunch of different thoughts here, but then also a slightly different twist in some areas. I agree that we definitely need to revisit the whole parking requirements and standards situation. I don't disagree with you in terms of like the process and how we get there, but yeah, there's a lot of wasted pavement and I don't want to see that continue in what we do going forward. I think whatever we do should have a mixed use component, and it probably needs to be more housing than commercial or business. A lot of people, I think, like to have the idea that you would find all these boutique shops, but that's not really realistic in the current market. You'll probably find some cafes and restaurants and stuff like that, but you're not going to find someone trying to compete with Amazon anymore in most towns. That's just not going to be a realistic venture. I do like the idea of like making it more walkable and connecting areas, even like meandering through some landscaping would be a nice idea. Let's see. I do think it needs to be dense enough though that it's actually a plausible idea. For 2 reasons. I mean, one, I don't think single family homes belong in the vision of the center of town. New ones anyway, not ones that already exist. But 2, sometimes it sounds like I don't care about open space, but I do, and I think we're running the risk in the next 20 years of turning into our neighboring communities that have 0 buildable space left in their community, and your tax rate goes through the roof and you have nowhere else in your budget to go. So I think we need to be dense enough, knowing that we are a suburb of a major metropolitan area. People are going to continue to move here. We need to be smart about planning for that and not just limiting ourselves to such less dense space, because otherwise, a couple more subdivisions go in and we're built out, and then what do we do? And then at some point, we don't know what the future holds, but it almost doesn't matter. We just have to take a leap of faith and things will work out. And that also kind of goes hand in hand with property values being a double-edged sword. Yes, it's great when people go to sell their home, but they're also greatly complaining at the moment that their tax bill just went through the roofs. We need to do something dense-wise to make up for the difference.
You have to increase the supply, because the 2 fastest growing groups of people, I think, in this town, in this state, in this country, it's going to be seniors, and it's going to be people who are either single or are married, or maybe a couple, but have maybe 1 child or no children at all. So the model that built this town into what it is going to look a lot different in 10 or 20, 30, or even, when we're all gone.
And it's not limited to just apartments, but I think our lack of them is contributing to a big part of the problem where we're not able to turn over any of the housing stock. So anybody that wants to buy the few neighborhoods that actually have the smaller homes and not the 3,000 square feet McMansions that only get built these days, no one's leaving those homes because they have nowhere else to go either. Even people aging in place, and that's great for them, but no one else can move into town or stay in town.
Have you seen the ones that are being built? Happy Acres off of South Bend. I mean, they're huge.
Yeah.
They're huge.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I find interesting recently is the amount or the percentage of those homes that are ranches. There's like, they build a big, like Bella Vista has a couple, like, there are people that are building their last home.
It's because they're
That size, right, yeah, right, yeah.
Do we know what other towns are doing to accommodate, like?
Well, Long Meadow's coming to East Long Meadow.
No, I mean, I'm serious, like,
No.
you think of Long Meadow.
I was serious. Do you know that the people that live in the fields?
Yes.
They live in east of Long Meadow.
Yes. No, but when I'm thinking of Long Meadow and the Gap and Starbucks and that nice little area, like, I'm picturing the center looking like that, but there's no housing in Long Meadow. Like, are they worried about it or no?
They
I
are,
mean, I
they are.
They do have elderly housing.
They're very, that's all the development they have though. So their actual tax base is just single-family homes.
Sometimes I think it's hard for us to completely compare ourselves to Long Meadow because they are the wealthiest community west of 495. They also have the highest tax rate in the Commonwealth. So like
I'm not trying to compare, I'm just.
Yeah, but they have the ability, I think.
Those needs.
They have the ability to do like, have the Gap and have all those. And, you know, I don't know if we would be able to pull that.
No, I totally get that. I'm just wondering, like, they're just not worried about it? Like,
Well, I mean, it's a
and I mean, people might not know.
community, but it's
So-
a very expensive community.
So if you're talking about expanding, like the Gap and all doing apartments above it, they're dead set against it.
Because they are expanding, and I don't think
And
housing
if you
is.
Go to,
No.
like along Route 5, and they just had a doctor out there who finally got permission to have his office in his house. And that was a huge to-do that took a couple years just for them to adjust the zoning, just to allow him to do that. They're happy with where they are. They don't want it to expand. They don't want like huge apartment complexes coming in.
Me neither.
Like they basically said is, you know what? Yeah, I know we're paying a lot in taxes, but we're paying a lot in taxes because of what we're getting, and I'm okay with that.
Okay.
Just like the new school that they just voted in. They're like, we want it. We'll pay more in taxes. That's it. And
I think,
Still love East Long Meadow.
I mean, in some ways, compare ourselves to our direct neighbors, you might find some of those things, but if you brought in a couple towns or cities away, I think we're a little bit more abnormal in the sense that a lot of these other communities have some sort of historic downtown that did allow mixed use the entire time, and we don't really have that anymore. So in a long ways, they've been doing it, so it's not really a shock to them.
Right.
I was just like curious why we were so focused on housing, and I get it.
I think we're in a unique position too of being able to be flexible. I don't think a lot of communities that are this old have this means of flexibility at this point in time. We do.
Because it's so kind of, I think, underutilized. And also, I think the market is going to decide. Like, maybe the market tells us, like, we set it up so that it could be equal, but maybe it's 80% business, commercial, and 20% resident, or maybe 90-10. Like, it could, I think it's gonna really also depend on, like, what these developers decide to do, because we can put in a lot of, and I think it's important to put in a lot of those rules, but ultimately, the developers are gonna look at it and best interpret whether it's feasible to do.
Right. And we don't even know the impact of what's gonna happen with ADUs. I mean, how many have we had since the law passed? 2, 3, 1?
You got one with a permit, with a occupancy permit, right? They're living there. Well, two's, the second one's being built. But one was
Through the
already
file
in.
with ADUs.
Yeah, one's in because it was an addition.
And we're now a full year, almost a full year into it.
I don't think anybody wanted to be first.
They're really, yeah.
I think they're cute.
Well, I mean.
Maybe that's what we should do.
Yeah.
you know, I think I could do an ADU for you.
Well, there you go. You don't charge me a lot of rent.
Any other thoughts before we move on?
Okay, let's go.
All right.
I think the funny part about this is we're gonna struggle with this, and we're gonna come up with a decision and all, and ultimately, it may not mean anything. It all depends on the developers and whether or not they want to invest that kind of money to do it.
Yeah.
So,
And the economics are gonna change, and, you know, again, we're gonna be at the year ending in 5 bylaw review, and whatever we put through really needs to get looked at, because it's just might not be germane anymore.
So I think maybe for our next steps on this, we can see whatever those 3D renderings might look like, but also maybe we can put together some pictures of what other cities and towns, 351 of them throughout the state, have, because I think there's a lot of ideas that might sound scary, but they're pretty reasonable and realistic.
Yeah, like I said, we have some good information coming in terms of that. We'll go have some fun conversations now about sort of like this, what we've sort of heard tonight, and try to get something back together.
it may start small. I mean, we have a Centertown district pretty much organized as far as where we would like to see it. And it may start with a bylaw that's extremely basic, that just says, hey, we're gonna allow the business, the commercial, the residential, like what we do now, but we're gonna remove the industrial. And that's it for right now. And then you move forwards in, 6 months or a year as you work towards the mixed use portion of it, and you add that to it. Sometimes if you try and do too much at once, it gets overwhelming, and it's like, well, I don't like this portion, so I'm not gonna vote for the whole thing, when 90% of it is great. So,
okay,
it's a thought process.
But the Carlin property is it's zoned industrial, correct?
Correct.
So right now, unless there was a change, I mean, depending on how quickly the town moves forward with cleanup and someone else owns it and wants to develop it like the conceptual design that we saw, the bylaw would have to be changed because it's residential isn't allowed in industrial.
Correct.
You have to create a Centertown district.
It'd have to be part of,
Yeah. And again, I'm in full agreement. I don't think the industrial use is appropriate for the Centertown. It's just not, so.
Okay.
Great.
All right.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
That was great. Thanks.
Okay, next under new business, we have action items for our next meeting, which our next meeting is January 27th. For that, we had scheduled the DIF assessment certification, but we had that early, so that was today. We'll have 2 bylaws for consideration. I think we'll need to discuss whether we want to put forward the attempted charter amendment again, because the deadline for that would be March, if we want to move forward with that. We may, I don't know, not necessarily for the next meeting, but future meetings will have a capital project update summary, Heritage Park plan after it goes through the Conservation Commission, and we will again talk about the 250th anniversary. That's what I have so far, unless I'm missing anything.
One more Bay Path.
Oh, that's right. Yep.
Fire or police?
Fire.
Well, I don't even remember which one you did tonight. The other one.
Police, we did police.
We'll check the videotape later.
Kind of the 2 bylaws, were those the ones I'm going to be suggesting?
Yes.
Yeah, so one of them will just be a referral.
Right.
And the other one's a general bylaw.
Great. Was there anything?
So I just wanted to report back. It seems like we'll probably get a final report on the diagnostic review and recommendations around March.
Okay.
I just wanted to also highlight that we have a number of reports coming in that we'll want to present to the council. So we have the ADA self-evaluation and transition plan wrapping up. So in the next month or so, we'll have them present to you. Jeff Speck's phase 2 presentation will be something that we need to carve out time on an upcoming agenda for. And then the Massings project, VHB would be able to demonstrate how these different housing and mixed use typologies would fit on different parcels across town.
Great. Cool. I'm sure we'll find a spot as those.
On top of the budget.
Exactly.
I almost forgot about the budget.
Okay.
Okay, so we're good with new business. Then we do have an executive session this evening. So I move to enter into executive session under Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A2, to conduct contract negotiations with non-union personnel Town Manager Tom Christensen, and to return to open session.
Are you
Second.
open to just
Second.
close?
Unsure. But it will be open session.
Good night.
Thank you.
Did you second it? Or who
I
was it?
seconded it.
Oh,
Oh.
yes, okay.
Sorry.
Motion was made and seconded. Is there any further discussion? This is a roll call vote to enter executive. Jim?
Yes.
Kathy?
Yes.
Anna?
Yes.
I'm a yes. Marilyn?
Yes.
Rob?
Yes.
And John?
Yes. I make a motion to close the public hearing.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion's been made and seconded.
Whatever, I'm done. It's really
Any
late.
further discussion?
Oh, all of a
All those in favor, please
sudden.
say aye.
Aye.
Hey.
Have to read